This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and former Memphis Tiger Gabe Kuhn.
It is the first of the month on Sports Time on Sports 56 with Gabe and Stats. February 1st, 2022 edition of the program. We're always live from the Family Leisure Studios in beautiful Memphis, Tennessee. I am Gabe Kuhn. My partner does pre and post for the Ole Miss Football Radio Network. He is Brett Stats Norsworthy. Brett, hello.
Hello and good afternoon, my big friend.
Absolutely. Producing the program, Go Tigers 247, writer Bryant Dacus. Brian, hello.
Hey, fellas. I actually I got around to watching Home Team last night, the movie about Sean Payton, and I just want to tell everybody, don't waste your time. Okay. Well, I wasn't going to. I saw it. It came across on Netflix. Yeah.
I was tempted to click on it.
Don't.
And that's the Sean Payton, Kevin James.
The year he was suspended.
Yes, that sort of thing.
Yeah, don't do
it.
it.
It's a kid's comedy, though, right?
Well, that's what they want you to think. But, I mean, I guess you can show your kids it, but they know they're going to get the older crowd. Everyone remembers that time, and they know what it's about. And so, people are going to watch it. Just one very good movie. There were some funny parts. It just wasn't very funny.
Well, happy Lunar New Year to you guys.
Yeah.
Happy Chinese
very
New
much
Year.
So, yeah.
Year of the Tiger.
Yeah.
It is the Year of the Tiger?
It is.
Ooh,
It's the year of the Tiger. It seems like it, doesn't
Here
it?
in Memphis it is.
How many different years
I know,
are there?
but
How many different animals are there for
I don't
different
know.
years?
Let me look that up for y'all.
I mean, change it up a little bit. I mean, it feels like it's always year of the Tiger, doesn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know any other year. This is why we need Bryant to look this up. But while he does that, first half of our show is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis, one and only Lexus dealership in Memphis. We have a lot to get to today. Grizz drop one in Philly in overtime, 122-119, but not before Desmond Bain and Ja really put on a show before the end of the game. Philly figured it out. We bring on Rob Fisher at 4:30 to discuss that. Senior Bowl practices are underway. We have some local intrigue. I talked about it yesterday. For Memphis, Calvin Austin III and Dylan Parham are there. For Ole Miss, Dontario Drummond and Braylon Sanders. We'll bring on Bo Marchant live from Mobile at 5 o'clock to discuss that as well as the big news of the day. And I think everyone knows exactly what that is. It's official. Tom Brady has announced his retirement after 22 seasons. From the horse's mouth, via his Twitter, he has let it be known. Also, we have some college football to discuss with Brent Beard at 4 o'clock. And the Tigers don't play until Thursday in Cincinnati. But we bring on Clayton Collier from ABC 24 to talk Tigers and college basketball as a whole. He's an AP college basketball voter. We'll bring him on at 3:30. AutoZone listener line, 901-360-8255. Get in the zone, AutoZone. You can also watch us live and message us on Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and at sports56whbq.com. Brian, do we have any answers? No?
I do have an answer.
Okay.
It looks like there are 12.
Okay, and they rotate.
So we have, it starts with the rat.
Okay.
Then the ox. Ox was last year. I do remember last year being the year of the ox. Now this year is the tiger. And then next year will be the rabbit. Then we have the dragon, snake, horse, goat, monkey, rooster, dog, and pig.
Ooh.
So,
You're the dog, huh?
You're the dog.
You're the tiger. I mean, that's more, it feels uplifting. It feels like we're headed in the right direction, right? We're going to be strong.
Maybe
How many
that's
of
what
those
we
years-
needed now.
Fierce.
How many of those years would you throw on the barbecue and eat?
Let's
There's
look.
some people that eat more meat than others.
Not a rat.
Well, there's some people that would eat a rat, I'm sure.
I mean, I don't know about an ox. Probably not tiger.
Oxtails.
That's
You ever
true.
had
Okay,
oxtails?
that's true.
0 for 2 for me. No ox.
Rabbit.
People would
Nope.
look
People
at
eat rabbit.
No way.
Oxtails are pretty good. Oxtails are
Dragon. I don't know if we're talking about the mythical dragon or like a
Komodo dragon.
Komodo
Either
dragon.
way, no.
Probably wouldn't eat
No.
either.
No.
Snake.
Yes,
No.
snake. I've heard snake.
Yeah.
People eat snake.
I'd have to be
I
real
wouldn't do
hungry.
Horse. Not.
No, definitely not.
Goat.
Yeah,
I mean, goat's
well,
milk and stuff. I mean,
goat's
does that
milk.
count?
No, I don't know.
No,
you don't really eat
no.
a goat.
monkey.
Nah, I'm pat.
Don't know.
Pass on that
you don't
one.
do that.
Rooster. Yeah.
Yes. Of
Yeah.
course. Absolutely.
Not
Definitely
really for
not
me,
on the.
but I
not a
would if
rooster.
I had
Wait,
to.
chicken?
You don't eat chicken?
I'm not a chicken fan.
Wow. Definitely no on the dog. And then
No,
pig.
no,
So we're about 2 for 12.
Oh, yeah.
There
Yeah.
we go.
I'm 1 for 12.
No
I
chicken,
started
Brett?
that.
We've talked
Not a
about
chicken
this.
eater.
Huh? No chicken for you.
Here's the shocker. I may be the only human alive that hadn't been to a Chick-fil-A.
Oh, stop it.
That really hurts me.
I
Brian.
literally
that,
go.
That bothers me.
I mean, what was it? Probably
So you've never
Saturday?
had any of the sauces? No Polynesian
I had
sauce,
Chick-fil-A
no Chick-fil-A
breakfast, lunch,
sauce?
and dinner.
And
So that's
I
ridiculous.
understand it's great,
It's
and
amazing.
I hear the milkshakes are fantastic.
Fantastic.
It's not my chicken's not close to one of my favorites.
And I also, I will say this.
In any way you prepare it, I don't like it.
I don't know how
Wow.
into fast food breakfast you are, Brett. Probably not so
Not at
much.
all.
They have really good. They have some of the best breakfast you'll get at a fast food restaurant. And by the way, service there is just the greatest
My
thing ever.
pleasure.
And you know what? If you compare it to the other chicken places like Popeyes, if you go to a Popeyes in Memphis, there's only a 50% chance you're actually going to get food. I feel like
Slim Chickens has good service. They're very nice there.
I've never been to Slim
I
Chicken.
like
good.
breakfast foods, but they do not like me. They all want to lodge about right here, kind of where the throat meets the chest.
Yeah, the esophagus. The esophagus.
Yeah.
It just didn't work. It didn't. Yeah.
Now it just didn't pass through there good.
Now, I mentioned it was the Chinese New Year. So I saw this morning. Is anyone, Brett, at this moment, like, do people realize that this Friday is the opening ceremony for the Beijing Winter Olympics? Do people even, is that compute in people's heads right now?
It doesn't do much for me. I'm not very interested. I don't like seeing the Communist Chinese government, not the Chinese
Understood.
people. I don't like them parading around on the world stage when I think they're just one of the brutal dictatorships in the history of recorded humankind. I'm afraid that in a not too distant future, this is going to look eerily similar to Adolf Hitler glowering over Jesse Owens at the 1936 Olympics in Berlin, and Prime I don't know what is it. Prime Minister, who's the head of China? Xi.
Yeah.
Xi. I think he's Adolf Hitler in a Brooks Brothers suit.
So, not only no one's being sent over there in regards to people covering it from the U.S. So NBC and their coverage, they're not sending anyone there.
It's
It'll
all
be
presentation.
remote. There's going to be no
a lot
fans.
of times, some of the sports are from remote. I know Pete Pranica's done a lot of Olympics work.
I understand
remotely.
But that's interesting in itself when it's the world stage, when it's everybody coming together for a sporting event. But also, this morning on Sports Business Journal, Austin Karp, who I really like his work, he does a really good job.
Love Austin Karp.
He released a projection, and
Rambling Wreck from Georgia Tech, man.
He believes that the Winter Olympics is going to attract the smallest average TV viewership on record. The previous low, 19.8 million. In 2018, he thinks it'll struggle to reach 15 million. He doesn't even think it'll get to 15 million as far as an average is concerned in prime time.
And of the two Olympics, this one does the least for me because these sports are so foreign. I mean, there's just so few of them that I've ever attended, almost none I've ever participated in, and almost no interest from me. I know the ice skating gets everybody into it every 4 years. That doesn't do it for me.
Know what usually does it for people? The hockey. And there's going to be no NHL players involved.
Well, the hockey really just did it for me 1 year in Do You Believe in Miracles in 1980.
Oh, I understand, and there was no NHL players then.
Just
I understand
for me.
that. But this year, it's going to be unrecognizable because of where it's at and who's participating and how you're participating in these events.
And from what I read, no snow. I mean, you can take the winter out of the Winter Olympics. They don't have any.
Yeah, it is.
Which I thought was odd when Beijing just in 2008 hosted summer and then turned right back around.
I agree.
In 14 years and host winter. How many other places throughout the Olympics history? Well, none has ever done both, could even attempt to do both. I mean, you think of where the Summer Olympics have been in the United States. Well, Los Angeles. Well, you think Los Angeles couldn't host Winter Olympics.
Mm-hmm. And, yeah.
Atlanta couldn't host Winter Olympics.
I don't know a lot of
St. Louis couldn't, and they hosted
and do you really know
Summer Olympics in 1908 game.
Do you know the athletes necessarily involved in all of this stuff anymore?
I don't. Frankly, I don't care. Right. I don't want to get. I don't want to get up close and personal.
In the U.S., the medal count will be pretty dang low. It'll be pretty low compared to normal. It won't be the same. So I'll probably catch a couple of events here and there, but
what Winter
it's looking
Olympic
like it
sport?
won't be watched at all.
What Winter Olympic sport really rings your chimes? That you is it
Usually
hockey?
Hockey.
Usually hockey.
It's still going to do it. A lot of top prospects in there this year. Can't
is
wait.
it?
I,
Okay.
I understand,
Oh,
Brian, and I know how you are, but
What's that supposed to mean,
listen,
Gabe?
I like hockey,
it takes a whole lot away from it that the
That is
NHL
true.
is not participating.
I
A
give you
massive
that.
part of
I
it
give
is
you that.
gone.
I like a good old bobsled, a little skeleton,
Yeah.
luge.
Only
you
thing I know
luge.
about bobsled, I watched Cool Runnings when I was a kid.
Great movie.
Great movie.
Actually-
about the Jamaican bobsled.
I actually
team.
had to read a story about bobsledding in my journalism class a couple days ago.
Okay.
Brain injuries, CT, bad in bobsledding.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Is that right?
because of the crashes.
A lot of it is the G-force and all the turns and stuff. Their heads shaking around the whole time.
Really?
I mean, there were people in the story
would've
saying
never-
that
that never struck me
they
as
don't
that.
remember certain turns. I mean, there are parts of races that they don't even, they just black out.
Who knew?
Yeah, I had no idea.
fast are they
You know
going?
why
They're going
there's
about
not a big
90 miles per hour, yeah.
Right. Okay.
You know why there's not a big class action out there in sports for the bobsledders?
Why?
They don't have any cash to sue for.
That's true.
That's why they went after the NFL.
I like curling. Curling always gets me going.
Buddy
Curling's
Frank and Jesse
awesome.
James, Rob Banks. That's where the cash was.
Did you know, speaking of curling, Kim Pom, who does the Kin Pom rankings for
Yes.
basketball, he has a curling rankings.
No,
Wait,
no.
Yeah.
Wait, Ken Pom curling.
Ken
rankings.
Pomeroy has a rankings for curling, yes. Yeah, there was a big story. I already knew about it, but there's a big story about it
takes
today
a
in the
cake there.
Athletic.
good.
World Curling Men's Top 100. Let me give you the American top curler. That'd be
hey,
John Schuster. He's ranked
There we go.
number 11
Any
right
respect
now.
the hard
Any
work, John.
any relation to Juju Smith-Schuster?
I don't believe so. I'd have to do some digging for that, but I don't. If I had to guess, I'd say no.
Is he as inconsistent as Juju Smith-Schuster?
I hope not for the America's sake.
Ken Pomeroy
Yeah.
in curling
Way to
rankings.
go, Ken
Who
Pom.
would have known?
Yeah.
That's good stuff.
You know what I learned today?
What'd you learn?
I know we usually do this at the end, but I'm going to do it at the beginning. Tom Brady went to the same high school as Lynn Swan.
Really?
Yes.
Out in is it L.A. area?
Uh-huh. Bay
Okay.
Area.
Bay Area. Sorry. So that's Northern Cal. I did not. I had no idea. So
And I found it out looking up. Boy, this is a list. The quarterbacks that went ahead of TB12 in the 2000 draft. Chad Pennington, 18th to the
There you go.
Jets. 65th to the hometown Niners for TB12. Giovanni Carmazzi from Hofstra. Ooh.
you think they regret that one at this point?
Boy, you can tell your grandkids a lot about that, can't you? Chris Redman to 175th to 75th.
What
to
high school
Baltimore.
did you go to? Do you know? What's the name of the high school? Or you don't have it off the top of your head?
I
We'll
don't
look
have
up.
it in front.
We'll look it up. That's my bad.
I'm sorry. I should have written it down. Chris Redman, 75th to the Ravens. T. Martin, 163 to Pittsburgh. 168, Mark Bulger to the Saints.
Hey, Mark Bulger. Shout out Mark Bulger. He gave a couple of good years to the Rams, St. Louis Rams.
And 183, just 16 spots. So they were thinking quarterback, right? Cleveland takes Spurgeon Wynn.
Where's he at now? What do you think he's doing?
Don't know. He might be on
Insurance
that Ken
salesman,
Palm list.
something like that? He's curling. He's curling for the U.S. Hey, we could check it out.
But everybody gives the Patriots a lot of credit for taking him. But
They took him
let's
at
go over
199.
But let's go over the Patriots draft that year. They took Adrian Clem, 46th, a guard from Hawaii.
Right.
76 took J.R. Redmond, a running back from Arizona State. 127th took Greg Randall, a tackle from Michigan State. 141st, Dave Stalchik, a tight end from Boise. 161st, Jeff Marriott from Mizzou, a tackle. 187th, 12 picks before TB12, Antoine Harris, the defensive back from Virginia. I'm going to give them credit. They got lucky.
But they took him, Brett.
But they
That's
took
all that matters.
That's right.
He's 199. And I do love Tom Brady going out in Tom Brady fashion. Last night, yesterday, when they released the Let's Go podcast with Jim Gray, he says he's still going through the process of deciding if he's going to retire or not. And in the morning, immediately shoots off his thread of tweets.
Schefter and Darlington had the story. They got it right. And look, they got it right 3 days ago.
We knew. I mean, they are generally those two guys, based on what they report, they're not going to put something out that they're not 100% positive on.
And they beat him to the punch. FanDuel Sportsbook is official sports betting partner of Super Bowl 56. To celebrate, new customers can bet $5 to win $280 in cash on either team to win when you use promo code CASH when registering. That's right. You'll get your winnings in cold, hard cash because we know cash is always better than free bets. I've talked about the app. I've loved the app, and on Super Bowl Sunday, you must have it in front of you. I've talked about the Bengals money line. I like that. I like Joe Burrow over the rushing yards. Yes, over the rushing yards. Of course, over the passing yards. And I like Odell Beckham anytime scoring. Promotions for new existing customers always at FanDuel. Same game parlays, tons of Super Bowl props, and so much more. Don't miss your chance to turn $5 into $280 in cash. Download the FanDuel Sportsbook app and use promo code CASH to make every moment more this Super Bowl. Again, promo code CASH exclusively at the FanDuel Sportsbook app. Must be 21 or older and present in Tennessee. New users only. $10 first deposit required. Must wager in designated offer market. Max bonus $280. Bonus for Tennessee users fulfilled in site credit within 72 hours. Tennessee site credit expires 14 days after receipt. Restrictions do apply. See full terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789. This hour of our show brought to you every day by the one and only Lexus dealership in Memphis. That is Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and online at lexusofmemphis.com. Call them at 901-362-8833 for anything service department related. Make your appointment now. Great offers on all 2022 models and always special leasing options. Drive in luxury and confidence knowing that every new Lexus comes with complimentary first and second maintenance services. Stop by Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and put yourself in the driver's seat of the all-new 2022 flagship LS500, and you'll be driving in style. When you purchase a Lexus, you get top-of-the-line engineering and design, and they make for the luxury driving experience. Online at lexusofmemphis.com. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
Top story of the
I
day.
think the top story of the day is that Ken Pomeroy does curling rankings. My gosh, that's
pretty
something I
in-depth,
didn't.
too.
It's a big story.
You learn something new every day, but the top story of the day, come on. Tom Brady officially retiring after 22 seasons in the NFL via a Twitter thread. I thought it was interesting. He did not mention in the Twitter thread the Patriots or Bill Belichick. He did it separately. He had some tweets. He had some Instagram stories. There's going to be Patriots fans that make a big deal out of it, but it is what it is. But all I can say is with Tom Brady, we're never going to see that again. I don't think we'll ever see a quarterback do what he did. The accomplishment, seven
played
rings.
in 10.
More than any franchise. Talking about
Won
7
both
rings.
both divisions, both conferences. Rather.
But you also have to recognize where he came from. Pick 199, a 5'2", 40-yard dash. The dad bod. He had to work real hard to get where he was going. He clocked
5'2".
I hit a 5'2". My pro.
Well,
so and Alex Guerrero, I mean his longtime trainer, they came up with the TB12 method, and he really sort of latched onto it and became what he was because of that. Leader in passing yards, leader in passing TDs all time, leader in completions all time, playoff records, wins, TDs, passing yards, has all of them. 243 and 73. As a starter.
Should be a standalone Hall of Fame ceremony for him this summer. Immediate induction.
And obviously you have Big Ben as well. Big Ben's going to be eclipsed by the sun in this situation. But the one thing I do want to point out, he went out on top. That's rare to see. You think about the quarterbacks from his era.
Arguably MVP.
But yeah, let's think about the quarterbacks from his era. Eli Manning, by the end of his career, not much. Drew Brees, by the end of his career, shell of himself. Mm-hmm. Big Ben. I mean, come on, made the playoffs, but are we going to act like Big Ben had a good year this year?
Phillip Rivers wasn't a shell, but it was diminished.
It was diminished. Peyton Manning certainly diminished because of the neck surgery and everything else.
Arm was a noodle.
And Phillip Rivers as well. Probably not near what he was during the middle of his career. Tom Brady led the NFL in passing yards, had over 5,300.
Could you throw Carson Palmer in there in that vintage with those guys?
Probably not on that level, but a little under Phillip Rivers. But also had 43 TDs and led the league in his final year.
Matt Ryan in that grouping?
Inching closer.
Yeah.
But he's almost a shell of himself nowadays. He still has good
Sure
stats,
is.
but not quite what he once was. But the one thing I remember about Tom Brady, what I will remember about Tom Brady, he was the king of situational football. You knew that when he got the ball with 2 minutes left to go win the game, he was a nightmare.
Down.
He was going to beat you. Just the captain of situational football and the best to ever do it.
And I wrote him off sitting there at NRG Stadium in Houston, 28-3, texted a nephew. I said, I've seen it. Tom Brady knocked off by the Falcons. He said, don't count him out too soon.
They should have put that, yeah, you should have tweeted that out. They would have that on the freezing cold takes.
Ooh, it was a lot of cold takes
Twitter
that
site.
day. And here it comes for Tom Brady and that comeback. My top story, it's the Grizzlies. Even in defeat, they lose a tough one last night in overtime in Philly against the Sixers, and they were without Joel Embiid. We know that, but last night was a great experience. That was playoff-type atmosphere. The Philly crowd on a Monday night, bringing it like that. That game, how it was contested. I'm not making excuses for them. I know they lost, but that was a good kind of loss. That was one of those losses over that long stretch of 82 that makes you better. It's lessons learned last night, and the whole country got to see what the Grizzlies have as a backcourt now and into the future.
Not top story of the day.
And the only reason it's my not top story of the day is because they lost. That's become a rare thing. Still have won 26 of 34. Still are 35-18. Still are the number three
Back-to-back,
team in
12
the
and
Western
4
Conference.
months.
But you are so right, Brett. To see what they have in the
It was a great
backcourt.
loss. It was a great kind of loss.
Yes, but to see what they have in the back, how good are these guys? We'll have a discussion later in the show. I'll give you some statistics about John Morant and Desmond Bane. But they're both in the top 10 among guards in the Western Conference for offensive rating. They're both averaging north of 15 points per game. Obviously, Ja at about 25. It's unbelievable to see. And they're both young, 22 and 23. So much to look forward to in the future.
My not top story is the Tom Brady retirement story. Not just that in and of itself, but it was 3 days ago that Adam Schefter and Jeff Darlington, they were right. They had the story. They had it covered. I don't know this. I suspect it was kind of a joint tweet story released by them where one of those great reporters at ESPN wouldn't just get assassinated by everybody else in media. If you had both of them out there kind of taking the shots, and they did for a couple of days, you had the predictable mouthpieces saying, no, it's not official. But now those people, well, they look kind of hackery, and some look a little envious. He was retiring, and they got the story. And we used to celebrate that in media. We celebrate that in journalism. But now with Twitter, we have so many people so envious of everything else in the area they cover. And I heard a CNN sports reporter who knew they had them. This morning, I heard a CNN sports reporter say that Tom Brady was done a disservice by them breaking that story and him not being able to do it on his own time. What, was Woodward and Bernstein supposed to wait around on Watergate?
That's a great point. And also, I don't think there was.
Let Nixon do his own telling.
were
Let
they-
Deep Throat tell it when he's ready.
Were there a bunch of people that denied that report, saying that it was completely false? I think a lot of people were sitting around waiting for Tom Brady to make his announcement to make sure it was official. So it's not like they stole a whole bunch of thunder.
It's almost
from
like
Tom
Belushi
Brady.
in Animal House. It's not official till Nixon waves goodbye on the South Lawn and gets on the helicopter.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. They didn't steal any thunder. They just reported what was ahead of them. One of the biggest sports stories of the year.
Good job.
Yeah,
We should
well
celebrate that, shouldn't we?
done. We should. Well done by them. That'll do it for our top and our not top story of the day. When we come back on the other side, we want to talk to our good friend from ABC 24, talking Tigers, talking Grizzlies. He's an AP college basketball voter. We're going to talk to Clayton Collier when we come back on Sports 56, 98.5.
You have opinions?
Well, you gotta have an opinion.
We want to hear them. Call or text us on the AutoZone listener line at 360-8255. That's the AutoZone listener line at 901-360-8255.
Get in the zone, AutoZone. Looking for a high-efficiency planting solution? The Case IH 2150 Early Riser Planter combines the industry's most accurate planter technologies with a rugged row unit for a fast and uniform emergence. The Case IH 2150 Early Riser operates at your speed and adapts to unique field conditions so that you can maximize your yield potential. Stop in or call Mid-South Ag Equipment at 662-890-3141 to learn more. That's Mid-South Ag, your Case IH Equipment headquarters.
Folks are falling head over heels for these wheels and deals. Colin Johnston here from DeSoto Auto Sales, and it's the season of love. I'm on a mission to help you meet your match. So if you've fallen out of love with your old ride or other dealers have left you brokenhearted, we've got a solution for every situation. Low monthly payments? No problem. Low down payments? You could drive for just a couple bucks down. Trade-ins? We're paying way more than it's worth. And you could even lower your monthly payment in the process. My For the People credit approval process hooks you up with the banks and lenders who want to approve you. It's time to fall in love, Memphis, when you drive a nicer, newer car for less. I'm Colin Johnston, and I'm your dealer. For the People. See all the wheels and deals at DeSotoAutosales.com. That's DeSotoAutosales.com. Credit requires bank approval. Negative equity may be refinanced. Vehicle purchase price determines actual trade allowance. For example, 2014 Ford Fusion 0 down, $264 per month payment at 5.5 APR for 72 months. Offer absolutely ends February 28th, 2022.
Angie's List is now Angie, your home for everything home. With Angie, you could cross your next project off your to-do list before this ad is over. Just tell us what you need, and we'll handle the rest, sending a top pro to get it done. Or browse reviews, compare quotes from pros, and connect instantly, all for free. For everything from routine maintenance to a dream remodel. Because however you want your project done, we'll get it done. Download the app or go to Angie.com. That's ANGI.com to get started.
If you need glass replaced, there's only one name you need to know. Binswanger Glass, the largest full-service glass company in the U.S. They've been an industry leader for over 145 years. For all your residential, commercial, or auto glass needs, Binswanger Glass is the name you need to know. 24-hour emergency service for all commercial customers, plus a nationwide warranty on all professionally installed glass. Visit Binswanger Glass in Midtown at 340 South Hollywood across from the Liberty Bowl. Visit BenswingerGlass.com. Benswinger Glass.
There's an institution in East Memphis that I love talking about. It's the Spirit Shop at 4848 Poplar Avenue, right down the street from Clark Tower, and it looks like a log cabin. It's been around Memphis since 1969 with a family-owned, friendly, knowledgeable sales staff that is just a wonderful place to go. I love going in and talking wine or bourbons, and they've got such great selection. So if you've not visited the Spirit Shop in a while, it's been remodeled. You'll love what you see when you need spirits. Tell Eddie Wollo said hello.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Gabe Kuhn.
Grizzlies losing overtime last night to the 76ers. We have the Tigers coming up on Thursday in Cincinnati, and to talk about all of that, we bring in our good friend from ABC 24, Clayton Collier, at Clayton Collier on Twitter. Clayton, how are you, man?
I'm good. How are you guys doing?
Doing well.
Doing great.
Doing well.
Clayton, how tough is it every week to assemble your AP Top 25 poll, and do you have UConn fans constantly complaining about where they fall?
No, UConn fans haven't been too bad this year at all. Them and Providence fans actually have I think it's been mostly positive reviews there. But no, it's fun for me each week. I keep track throughout on where teams are trending and everything throughout the week, and then at the end of the week, I just kind of put it all together and take a look back at resumes overall. I'd say the difference this year, as opposed to last year, with what I was doing was trying to put a little more emphasis on what is happening now, as opposed to punishing or rewarding teams for what happened, in November. Because Kentucky's a great example.
Great example.
They are night and day a different team than what you're seeing right now. And so, that's why I had them at number 4 right now. Are there teams probably with overall better resumes than them, even though they have 4 losses? Yeah. But have you seen what they did to Tennessee and what they did to Kansas?
Right.
where do you go for a tiebreaker? Do you go to net? You go to gut? What you've watched? Where do you go for a tiebreaker?
I wouldn't say there's one thing necessarily. I will say, though, that this year I've spent a lot more time looking at strength of resume than I have with net, and certainly more than Ken Palm. But I like strength of resume because I think that's what the poll is trying to reflect. The best teams overall for strength of resume. I'll look at that. But then also, you have to factor in circumstances. Did they not have their leading scorer? Was there this or that? That's the overall landscape. But again, also seeing where a team is now as well, because, there could be teams that front loaded a lot of wins in November that are, propping up their strength of resume that, may have lost 4 or 5 in January. And that doesn't necessarily necessitate them being in the top 25. So, like I said, it really depends on the situation, but I have strength of resume more than Ken Palm or net so far this year.
Mm-hmm. So you mentioned that. You mentioned, if teams are missing their leading scorer or missing certain players, how much does that really come up? Say a team loses a close game without their leading scorer. Do you drop them in the poll? Do you keep them in the same spot, or how do you handle that in particular?
I try to keep that in mind when I'm evaluating back and forth. Like, for example, LSU, I had in my top 10, and then they had a rash of injuries. They lost Xavier Pinson. They only got him back for 7 minutes in their loss to TCU this week. Mm-hmm. So I ended up dropping them out of my poll, but that's because they've lost 4 of their last 5, including 3 to unranked opponents.
Right.
But also keeping in mind that that's now all happening with injuries. So they get him back now. They go on a run. They're going to be probably quick to re-enter my ballot if they start having success again. And Baylor, for example, I didn't drop them as much as I did with Arizona because they were dealing with all types of injuries. They didn't have their leading scorer. Their point guard was playing hurt in the loss to Alabama this week as well.
Mm-hmm. What have you thought about the top of the sport so far early in the year? Well, halfway. We're getting close to the halfway mark in conference schedules. But what have you thought of the top teams in the country, and who do you think will be around at the very, very end?
You should start with Auburn for sure. They've won 17 in a row now, won 20 games, number 1 in the nation. They should have been number 1 a week earlier, if not for a couple voters not putting them at 1 or 2. But yeah, it's tough to argue with them. I think Wisconsin's a very dangerous team with Johnny Davis. You can never count him out. Like I said, Kentucky is following the Calipari approach of some years where he struggles in non-conference, and then they put it together and start peaking right around, midway through conference play, and we're starting to see that with them. The other thing for the Wildcats is they didn't play a lot of tough teams in non-conference, or at least beat them. They played Duke. They lost to Duke. They had, a COVID situation where they ended up playing North Carolina instead of their original opponent. And so we didn't see them get a lot of opportunities to really show what they could do. They were winning. They've won just about every game, I think, by double digits. And then, finally we saw them against Tennessee, saw them against Kansas, and now they're showing, hey, they belong right in that competition. But, the thing that's interesting is just how many veteran teams there are, especially with the COVID year for some of these guys. Mm-hmm. That there are people that have been there before. And, I think that could create a lot of intrigue come March Madness in terms of just you have guys who've been here so often that, there could be some more upsets that we see. The other aspect of it is there just hasn't been – there's some, like obviously Ty Washington with Kentucky and everything, but there isn't a ton of terrific guard play as well going on throughout college basketball. We talk about it with the Memphis Tigers that, they don't necessarily have a true starting point guard because, they want to play positionless basketball and this and that. But while the Tigers may not have tried to recruit a true starting point guard this year, there just isn't as, fruitful of a talent pool at that position this year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's just not that many of them out there. Clayton Collier with us, and I think you guys and young ladies and the AP voters, you've nailed it 1 through 4, and I think even 1 through 8. I think that will be the Elite 8: Auburn, Gonzaga, UCLA, Purdue, Kentucky, Houston, Arizona, and Baylor. And there's Houston again. There's Kelvin Sampson again. in this time that we thought that Coach Penny Hardaway in Memphis would take over the AAC, he's even further entrenched. Kelvin Sampson is.
Yeah, and all the adversity we've seen from Kelvin that Kelvin Sampson's staff has played through this year, and still reaching that point just speaks to how impressive he is as well. I don't know necessarily that should be used as a comparison to knock Penny, which I've seen happen here in the last few weeks. Just because that's an exception more than the rule in terms of when you lose so many starting players and some of your best team, leading scorers that you're supposed to fall off, and that's a natural thing to happen. And so the fact that hasn't happened with Houston, I think is something that we can praise Kelvin Sampson and his team for, but I don't think it should necessarily be used as a tool to maybe knock what Penny hasn't done. And granted, there's enough there to correctly criticize, that Penny, that his team has, while also facing adversity, has also underperformed at the same time. But the thing is with Penny's team, which, I think we'll probably get to, is just there's so much talent that you can't just say, oh, well, this is a scrap year or something like that. There's always enough time for them to, at this point, probably looking at just having to win the tournament as opposed to, getting an at-large. I mean, even if you swept the board from here on out, like maybe, but it's probably going to have to be winning the tournament. And, whether they can get it done, I'm not going to count them out because of just how talented this team is. And what we did see in that NIT championship team, how Penny was able to eventually get that team put together to play like a tournament quality team. It just happened too late in the season and without quad one opportunities there.
Mm-hmm. Do you think the expectation setting before the year, and obviously we know how far they have fallen from where those expectations were, so you would obviously say that those expectations were incorrect, but do you think they were unfair before the year with all the young talent he was bringing in? Two guys reclassifying, having two guys try to sort of run your team at that age is always going to be tough.
It is, and I remember saying at the time that when Amani committed to Memphis that you're talking about a 17-year-old that was 185 pounds. There's going to be some sort of adjustment period, and we have seen that. And we've seen a different Amani kind of come out of that, out of his time off with the injury. And so, we're getting to the point where those guys aren't quite freshmen, that cliche.
Right.
But as far as expectations, no, I think that in my mind, my expectation for them was you have to make the tournament and that they'll probably be one of, a Final Four contender. But that's the expectation at this point. I mean, you can't put like, oh, we didn't make the Final Four, but we made the tournament. Like, you can't put that on the Tigers right now because they haven't made the tournament in 7 years. So the expectation is first to make it and to end that streak. Like, no matter what happens, you make the tournament. It's a success in my mind. But when you have the number one class for 2 of the last 3 years,
right,
there's going to be expectations beyond that. And
that's not moving the goalposts, Clayton. What that is when you're presented with a new set of facts, that's changing your opinion with those facts changing, and the facts have changed since opening night.
Yeah, they have as well. And the thing is I guess the initial question was like, were expectations beyond making the tournament fair? And yeah, they are. When you have Jalen Duren and you have so many returning guys from an NIT championship team, and you add in the Lawson brothers and you add in everything that you've added, and Earl Timberlake alone, he was on draft boards at the beginning of the season.
Right.
So I mean, not even counting Amani Bates, you had him, DeAndre Williams, and Jalen Duren alone, who are on draft boards, going into the year. So you have so much talent that, I think it's tough because you lose so many guys, but then you also see, hey, you could probably still get it done with this guy, and this guy because they just have that much talent. But that's probably a little bit unfair just because of, how a team is trying to operate together when, you're missing certain pieces, no matter what, you're throwing it off. And, you get to, what Penny has said is that he could do whatever he wanted with his full roster. Well, we haven't really seen that since non-conference season. The other side of that coin, we did see him with his full roster, and they did lose 4 straight. So I'm curious once, is it Thursday where he gets a full roster, or at least close to a full roster, maybe. But, if he gets that and they start clicking and they're moving where they need to, who's to say with that much talent they can't, flip this around and suddenly, win run the table, or at least, win all but 1 or 2 games.
Clayton, you mentioned how talented this team is, this 21-22 team. If you could, as best you can, on February 1, what was the more talented team, this year's team or last year's team?
More talented, I would say this year's team. Just in terms of, you have, going back to what I was saying, just in terms of draft boards and what you have there.
You got Duren versus Cisse. I say it advantage Duren.
Yeah, I agree.
You got DeAndre versus DeAndre. It's same DeAndre when healthy. Nolly and Lester. It really gets down to Ball, Jeffries, Ellis versus Timberlake, Bates, and who?
Well, see, I don't know how much of a
Tyler.
Yeah, I don't know. But the thing is also Damian Baugh has become such a more valuable player, and Boogie Ellis as well. And DJ has been having success at Mississippi State as well. But the fact that Boogie and Damian have blossomed the way they've had since leaving and finding other programs as well, it makes me question that. That is a good question. Mm-hmm. In terms of preseason hype and talent, you have guys that are talked about as, impactful NBA players in the next couple of years in terms of Jalen Duren and Amani Bates. It's hard to say that, what you had the year before is tops that necessarily, because we weren't seeing that in terms of NBA draft boards and everything. Point being is the last 3 years, Penny has had a ton of talent on those teams.
Mm-hmm. There's no question about it. There's no question.
Just rank and file just has Clayton.
Right. And some of the losses that he's taken to Tulsa, this year to Tulane, even though they were down some players, they're just inexplicable at times. Now, you cover the same market we do, so I have to ask you this question. Me and Brett have brought this up several times. To think about where we were preseason with the Tigers and the Grizzlies, respectively, right, to where they are now, how wild has that been to you? Just to sort of watch how that has developed.
Gabe, great question. Clayton, the contrast between Taylor Jenkins versus Penny Hardaway from October 1 to February 1 is stark now.
I think I'm more surprised by the lack of dominance from the Tigers as opposed to being surprised at the dominance we've seen from the Grizzlies, because coming off of that playoff run, seeing what Ja was able to do, and everybody's focus coming out of exit interviews saying we'll be back, and just talking about wanting to get straight into the gym right away. Like, you don't see that as much with the NBA, where it's different commodities and basically like different, brands and personalities and stuff like that. It's like, okay, here's this guy over here and this guy. Like the Grizzlies, even last year, you could feel just how it was the young bonded unit together, which, like I said, you don't see that very often in the NBA. And that kind of left that little bit of intrigue of like, all right, where is this going to go from here? Because it felt like the start of, what can be, an era, or, I don't want to say, dynasty yet until they get to that, that kind of point. But just an era of success for the Grizzlies was blossoming, obviously. So I would say I'm more surprised at the record that we're seeing on the Tigers than I am for the Grizzlies.
Oh, I'm there with you, because the expectation for the Grizzlies was to at least be around for a playoff race. The expectation for the Tigers, we're talking about Final Four, losing 4 games the entire year.
I had the Grizzlies with 46 wins preseason, but I had the Tigers in New Orleans at the Final Four.
Yeah, I think I had the Grizzlies. The Grizzlies. I think I had the Tigers preseason 9, and I think they got as high in my ballot as 6 or 7 in those first couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And then that 4-game losing streak took care of things. So
come a long way from that 5-0 start. Come a long way.
Yeah, exactly.
But Clayton, appreciate it, man. He is at Clayton
We sure do.
Collier on Twitter.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate the time.
Thanks.
Thank you, Clayton.
We'll do it again soon.
Clayton Collier with us, and we will do it again soon. And I love how really disciplined and dedicated to voting he's been. That's what we want out of all voters, whatever you're voting for. We want you to kind of like do your homework before you go and pull a lever. That's what you need to do. What's something else you need to do before the big winter ice storm rolls in on Thursday? You need to stock up for it, and you need to start planning for your big game watch party. And I got the place, Jason's Deli, bringing more to the table. It's a family thing, whether it's 5 or 5,000. They're ready for big game Sunday, low delivery fees. Same day and last minute orders welcome. If you feel a little overwhelmed about what are we going to have, let them do all the worrying. All the great locations online at jasonsdeli.com. The locations like Ridgeway Road, Poplar and Highland, Olive Branch and Cordova. All the salads, the Mesa chicken salad, chicken club salad, the Big Chef salad, my favorite, the taco salad, then all the soups. So good for you. Ready for big game Sunday afternoon watching. Really, you can have kind of all 3 meals on big game Sunday, and let Jason's Deli do it for you. All about choice, regardless if you seek a gluten-free menu, vegetarian sandwiches, healthy kids meals, or if you'd like to invent your own sandwich field to build your own, you will be delighted at Jason's Deli. And for big game Sunday parties, I know there are a lot of church, youth events. Let Jason's Deli, they're the perfect place to do all that work for you. Catering anytime, anywhere, in all the locations, complimentary ice cream at Ridgeway Road, Poplar and Highland, Olive Branch, and Cordova. And check them out online at jasonsdeli.com.
When we come back, before we bring on Brent Beard at 4 o'clock, have some college football news that I really want to discuss. We'll do that on the other side on Sports 56 98.5.
Join the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin, for Wolo and Friends, presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Weekday mornings from 10 to 11 here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Heart of Gold, a love poem from Southland Casino. Roses are red, violets are blue. There's a piece of $50,000 of free play waiting for you. Every Saturday night from 7 to 10 p.m. This February, you'll have so many chances to win. Just come to Southland for the Heart of Gold giveaway and feel the love for a chance to win $2,500 of free play. See Lucky North Club for details. Must be 21 plus. Play responsibly. For help, call 800-522-4700.
If you want to make money in sales, Flynn Broadcasting wants you. If you can sell, Flynn Broadcasting has a great career waiting for you. If you can sell, we have great benefits, salary, commission, sales leads, and a great place to work. If you can sell, let us know today. Send your resume to jobs@flynn.com. Can everyone sell? No. But if you can, Flynn Broadcasting wants you. Apply today at jobs@flynn.com. Start your great career today at jobs@flynn.com. Flynn Broadcasting wants you.
When the forgotten poor are in need of healing, they wait for a ship unlike any other. Mercy Ships, a floating hospital staffed by volunteers, heroes of mercy who donate their time to save lives.
Every human has the right to have a place at the table of the human race.
If you could just see the smiles that you get when lives have been changed, then it would make it all worth it.
To learn more about Heroes of Mercy, go to mercyships.org.
February is the month of love, and not just on Valentine's Day. This is the month when you want to be warm with someone you love, the month when you want something romantic, something special to happen. And if you want special and romantic, you can't beat 117 Prime, Memphis's premier downtown dining destination. Take your significant other for the perfect meal at 117 Prime. The best steaks in town, the oyster bar, the wine selection that simply can't be beat. Experts determined to make your experience both special and romantic. This is the time to do something amazing with someone you love. This is the time for Prime.
At Jason's Deli, when you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises, just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and quick quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it, because you're not just taking a bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special diets with vegan and gluten-free options available. Convenience and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com, so whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby at Jason's Deli with locations at Ridgeway in the Park Place Center, Poplar and Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and on Goodman Road in Olive Branch. Jason's Deli. It's wholesome food and no surprises.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Gabe Kuhn.
Get it? So we have our first hand size issue of the year.
Hand size.
Senior Bowl measurements. Kenny Pickett decides not get his hand size
He had a
measured.
great answer, too.
And how about I'm scrolling through Twitter and I go and see a story that people wrote about it.
Yeah.
And
shocker.
And did you hear what he said? He is going to work on improving hand mobility through hand stretches before he gets to the combine.
Oh, I love a good hand stretch.
Yeah. I mean, how big are his hands?
They gotta be pretty small.
They must be tiny.
Yeah.
They must
And
be
his
tiny.
comeback was I played college
Yeah,
in Pittsburgh,
he's
meaning
right.
I can hang on to the football in bad weather.
I mean, he's correct. I don't see why it really matters all that much, but I didn't know. I mean, have you guys ever worked on your hand mobility and done hand stretches?
Well, I'm double jointed in my fingers, so sometimes.
What is he? Okay,
I'm barely single jointed.
You know what? I am convinced that double jointed is just some urban myth. What does double jointed mean? Explain. Go.
I mean, I don't know what it means.
See,
but
exactly. Everybody just says they're
I'm not a
double jointed. They don't know what
doctor or
double
anything.
jointed actually means.
Well,
What
I
is
am double jointed. It means
What does it mean?
it's I don't know. You've seen the people who can like turn their arms all which way.
That
That's
just means
double jointed.
flexibility.
No,
You're
no,
just
it's something
flexible.
about the muscles.
Well,
and
then all the Bill
something.
Street flippers would be that.
It's like
wouldn't
saying
they?
it's the
'Cause
equivalent.
they'd be that
of-
athletic.
It's the equivalent of like me saying I'm big boned, or like a big person saying they're big boned.
No,
Or I'm
it's
small.
There
way
ain't no big
different.
bones.
No,
There ain't no big
it's-
bones.
very
Double
different.
jointed. You're just saying you're flexible.
No, Gabe.
I think you're just mad.
Your tibia is bigger than mine, so you are big boned.
Yeah. Yeah. But that's not what they say when they say big bone. I,
I mean,
don't think.
you're-
I think that's what they mean. They try to give the illusion
Humorous.
that the bones are thick. The
Yeah.
bones are just
Femur.
It's longer.
More milk.
Certainly longer. My femur and my my tibia. But the double jointed is the most fake
No,
thing ever. People
no.
just say
You're
that. That's
mad.
a buzzword,
It's okay.
Brett.
It's okay.
That's a buzzword.
It's
I
okay.
was told I was double jointed when I was a kid. What is double? Somebody please.
I don't know.
At
I'm barely
901
I was told I could be the president. I mean, we all get told things.
901-360-8255.
Got to be 35 though.
What
Bryant.
the hell?
That is
What does
true.
double jointed actually mean? It's just a buzzword. I swear it is. Doesn't mean a thing. Now, in college football, the news of the day. Well, not much of news, to be honest with you. Caleb Williams from Oklahoma.
Worst kept secret ever.
Officially signed with USC. They were talking about him going to Wisconsin there for a while because of his
He's going to SC the day
relationship.
Lincoln Riley
Of
took the
course,
job.
but they were talking about Wisconsin because he had some relationship with the OC there, long family friends. Why in the hell would a guy like that, a dual threat guy, go to Wisconsin?
Gabe, do you remember the dumbest period of the college football season last year when people were advocating for Caleb Williams to win the Heisman based on
After two.
one half against Texas?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, it was theater of the absurd.
Hey, and he was listed on
Are you
odds
really that
everywhere.
heat of the moment,
Well,
sports writers?
Well, but he was listed on odds just about everywhere you check.
oh, yeah.
I mean, and he was
Make
up
the
there
money
too.
where you can.
They
And
thought
then was lucky to beat Kansas.
hey, but that was one of the best plays I've ever seen.
It was.
The stealing it out of his running back's hand and then running for the first down. That was pretty good. But this was a terribly kept secret. But it really does sort of make me ask the question. How close are we to seeing USC being completely back? Because Pac-12 this year, Mario Cristobal's out, destabilized Oregon. I guess Washington
I want
State
SC
has
back.
a chance to be okay, although they're dealing with
I
a new
want it
quarterback.
geographical. I want strong West, strong Midwest, strong Southern team, a strong Big Ten type leading into the Eastern Seaboard team.
Even in 2022, 2023, this season, who in the Pac-12 do you trust to be there with USC at the top? And I know USC was a 4-8 team last year.
I think UCLA's coming.
I guess so. With
Utah's always steady.
Dylan Gabriel, right, is at UCLA,
Mm-hmm.
and they may get it. I don't know what the situation is. Washington
kind of
State,
money time for Chip
Washington
Kelly.
State's the sleeper. I just sort of mentioned
Herm
with
and
Cam
Arizona
Ward
State
from Incarnate Word. They're sort of a level. They're sort of like there's a cap to what they can get done. It feels like.
It sure is, and Jake Plummer and Bruce Snyder kind of exceeded that.
But it really feels like USC, even in year one.
Well, that's
is
the
going
team
to
out there,
head-
and it
going
is. I
to
mean,
head
in the
in that
history of college
direction.
football, fight on the horse, that fight song, everything that goes with him. Now, Gabe, you've been nice about the Tom Brady, me getting that prediction right on New Year's prediction.
Of course.
I had USC in the football 4 last year.
You know what?
Yeah.
That was maybe a little bit insane. But yeah, hey, we get predictions wrong. We do this enough. we make predictions on a whole lot of things, Brett.
Not to win the Pac-12. I had them in the football 4, and they had Clay Helton bombed out of there by September.
They had a chance, though. Drake London, good wide receiver. You had Drake Jackson coming off the edge. He'll be a first-round pick. They had all the pieces.
And Keaton Slovis and Jackson Dart.
You thought Keaton Slovis.
Quarterbacks just everywhere.
Keaton Slovis was going to be a first-round pick. There was no question about it. Going to throw for 5,000 yards last year. That didn't happen. He got hurt pretty quick. Graham Harrell running that offense. But now they are headed back to the top of the Pac-12.
I think it makes college football better.
Now. I'm calling my shot now. I think they'll be in a Pac-12 championship next year. I really do believe that.
Whoa.
Yeah, calling my shot.
On a Friday night on Fox.
Yep. Because here's the thing that you have to take into account. Caleb Williams doesn't have to learn any new system. He's teaming up with the guy he knows. He's teaming up with the guy he had success
ground
with.
running.
And as far as talent is concerned, the talent at USC versus at Oklahoma right now, not that far off. Just not that far off. That'll do it for hour number 1. Hour number 2 is going to be a loaded one. We bring on Brent Beard to talk college football to start it. 4:30, we bring on Rob Fisher to talk about the Grizzlies. Of course, the Grizzlies take the L last night, 119 in OT to the 76ers. You're listening to Gabe and Stats on Sports 56, 98.5.
It's a new year. That means it's time for a floor model sale at Family Leisure. You can help Family Leisure make room for all the new 2022 products that are coming in. All floor models are priced to move right now. If it's on the floor, it's on sale. But you better hurry to get these special savings because once these floor models are gone, folks, they're gone. We're talking theater seating, massage chairs, arcades, foosball and hockey tables, all on sale. Shuffleboard tables, pool tables, they're on sale too. Plus, there's so much more on sale. And you can get New Year's deals on spas and swimming pools as well. Family Leisure needs the room for new inventory. So what's here has got to go. You can help them. The floor model sale is happening now at Family Leisure, Whitten Road at I-40, where family and fun come together. Happy New Year from our good friends at Family Leisure.
On our first date, we had masks on and kept 6 feet apart. Now, we're a lot closer.
Just like Cliff and Deb, thousands of singles over 50 found their perfect match on Silver Singles last year.
I feel like I'm 20 years old again, and I'm pretty sure she feels the same way.
Rediscover the magic of dating with Silver Singles, the exclusive community for singles over 50. Sign up today and receive daily matches you won't want to miss at silversingles.com/radio. silversingles.com/radio.
Get in the swing of things. Grab your friends, your clients, your employees, and go enjoy everything you love about Topgolf in a luxury suite while at Memphis' only Topgolf Swing Suite at Erling Jensen's Small Bites. Topgolf Swing Suite is an immersive social experience offering guests a luxury private lounge to enjoy Erling Jensen's extraordinary food and beverage service, all while playing a selection of games in a one-of-a-kind simulation day. Topgolf swing suites are great for work outings, celebrations, or just getting together. It's fun for the whole family. It's fun for golfers and non-golfers alike. They have more than just golf. They have soccer, baseball, zombie dodgeball, football, and more. Located at 5069 Sanderlin, adjacent to the Doubletree East Memphis. Check us out at SwingSuiteMemphis.com or call us at 901-58-SWING. Again, that's 901-58-SWING at Memphis' only Topgolf swing suite at Erling Jensen's Small Bites. Book your suite today.
Belly Acres' motto is City-Fied Farm Fresh. The goal is simple: provide a fun, unique farm-to-table experience for the whole family. Two great locations, Regalia at 6130 Poplar and in Overton Square at 2102 Trimble Place. Overton Square hours Sunday through Thursday 11A to 9P, Friday and Saturday 11A to 10P. Regalia Sunday through Thursday 10:30 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Friday and Saturday 10:30 a.m. to 11 p.m. Signature burgers are made from 100% grass-fed beef. Sandwiches, salads, and the best milkshakes anywhere. The burgers, so good, like the Daria or the Double Daria, and the melt in your mouth. And you have to try the Voodoo Moo Moo. It is the quality brand the Belly Acres team has developed using grass-fed beef with creative homemade toppings in a fun farm setting right here in the city. The goal at Belly Acres, to become even more sustainable as they grow. In Overton Square and in Regalia, the very best quality available in Memphis, burger shakes and smiles at Belly Acres.
Do you know one of the best things you can do for your employees or family's health? Provide Arctic Clear bottled water. Arctic Clear bottled water is your locally owned and operated bottled water provider. Arctic Clear is 100% natural spring water with free delivery and setup, dependable service, and no long-term contracts. What an easy choice. Call Jeff Manus today, 901-382-2363, or visit arctic-clear.com. Arctic Clear bottled water. Call now, 382-2363. That's 363.
We are Sports 56 WHBQ Memphis and W253DF Memphis, Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Gabe Kuhn.
Hour 2 is upon us. And you can join the show. You can text us. AutoZone listener line is 901-360-8255. Get in the zone. AutoZone, you can also message us on our social media platforms, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. And you can also find all of our podcasts, featured audio, even our live stream at our website, sports56whbq.com. We go ahead and bring on our good friend, Brent Beard, talk some college football. Brent, how are you?
I'm doing well. Gabe, does Brent know how to do all that social media stuff?
Oh, yes.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely, sure does.
You not follow me on TikTok?
Brett found out how to even print out tickets online. He figured that out.
Brent, I was so proud of myself last week.
Absolutely. Listen, your mother would be proud of you for that.
She would be. She would, because she knew anything technical. It was quite the challenge.
Yes, I'm sure.
Brett, I say, you know what? I came into the studio, I saw Brett doing a TikTok dance today. It is a new day. There's no question about it, Brent. Now, we just got done talking about how the worst kept secret is no longer a secret. It looks like Caleb Williams is going to be headed to USC. I've already called my shot. I may be going overboard here, but I said USC is in Pac-12 championship contention next year.
That's bold.
What do you think? Do you think
that
USC is back?
I like.
Look, okay, we're all in this 7-on-7 world, and because of that, if you've got a great quarterback, that would
you got a chance.
Actually,
and a quarterback that knows the system.
What we really don't know yet, Gabe, is what does he have, what's he going to have around him?
Mm-hmm.
Now look, as far as could they be in the conference championship? Yeah, absolutely. Now,
and that's all Gabe's saying.
Yeah. Well, I think that's probably realistic, frankly.
Mm-hmm.
All in all,
almost should be the expectation, shouldn't it? As we reshuffle every year now in college football. You know, Brent, we love when the magazines come out, and the first thing I look at is returning starters. That means nothing anymore.
Well, it really doesn't, does it? I mean, it's a and look, if I was putting together a magazine for Lindy's or Athlon or Phil Steele, tracking these guys would be man, I would want to have. I know you probably got a. I know they've got a hard deadline, basically at the end of April. But man, I'd want a week or two after the spring game to see who's going to transfer right now.
Right, and that's where everybody's competing as well. And it is a different day. There's no question about. Even when I was finished up in 2017, it wasn't the way it is now with transfers. But with the Caleb Williams stuff, and you look around the Pac-12, and I asked Brett this. In the Pac-12, who are we talking about possibly competing at the top? Oregon's just lost
Utah.
Mario Cristobal. Utah, of course, they're going to be there. I'll give them their credit there. And they're
That's
on the
coach
same
respect,
side.
isn't it?
And they're on
From
the
all
same
of us.
side as USC. But Dorian Thompson-Robb, DTR at UCLA, does he do it for you? Is that a possibility?
We sweating Colorado.
No, in Arizona State is made some noise, and I don't think that they're going to either. So look, that and yes, Chip Kelly at UCLA, as you mentioned, they're better than they were, and they're making some progress, but.
Right.
But no, I mean, it shouldn't take a whole lot to get them excited. In Los Angeles, by the way, when the I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall when the coordinators in the SEC heard that the defensive coordinators that he was going to Southern Cal.
Mm-hmm. And real quick, we've talked about this in the past, and you brought it up one day, I think, Brent. It was Rick Neuheisel who mentioned trading instead of
we talked about this
transferring
last
and free agent.
That's right.
Yeah. So Nick Suss tweeted this out, and I thought this was hilarious. He said, to recap the three-team trade, USC gets Lincoln Riley, Caleb Williams, Oklahoma gets Jeff Lebby, and Ole Miss gets Jackson Dart and Michael Trigg.
Yeah.
That's
absolutely.
what happened. It was kind of a three-team trade. You know, we've got all the terminology now in college football, from general manager, player personnel director, trades, money. I mean, Lane Kiffin making news today. I don't see where it was that incendiary about Texas A&M and their recruiting class. Jimbo Fisher has much said it on the first national signing day of, we used to always do this. We just didn't call it, NIL, and what we're calling it now.
Right,
it was a great bought and paid for class. I don't think A&M has anything to be ashamed of. It's legal.
It is. Well, I mean, look, didn't Texas basically that's what they came out with, and saying they're going to pay all the offensive linemen $50,000 a year, which is
that won't get you nothing next year.
No, absolutely not.
I was born 5 years too early, guys.
Boy, you just missed it. You didn't get any of the Ed O'Bannon settlement. You didn't get any of the.
I got the only settlement I got was the cost of attendance settlement. That was nice. A little five grand to line my pocket after my career.
By the way, and I give Chris Hummer credit for this. This is important. Today is the deadline to enter the transfer portal if you want to play for another SEC school in 2022. The NCAA cutoff is May 1. So I think that probably escaped a lot of people that there actually is, or we forgot that there actually is a deadline for some of this stuff.
And tomorrow's the last signing date, isn't it?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So, but who knows where all this is going to go? But I thought that was significant to mention, was that yes, there is an actual deadline if you want to transfer intra-conferencely, shall we say, for the SEC.
And Brent, I had someone Saturday. I was at Ole Miss Kansas State basketball, and a nice person asked me about, do you know if so-and-so will be back next year? And I tried to politely say, I don't know anymore what the roster is.
No, there are really no guarantees on anything at this point. Now, I guess by knowing a little bit of this deadline stuff, that certainly helps. But that's what we meant a few minutes ago by the college football magazines. When those guys normally have a deadline, there's going to be an incredible amount of uncertainty.
And I don't know anybody's class anymore. Are they a junior? Are they a COVID junior? Are they? I don't know how many years of eligibility you have left. And I'm leaving the arena Saturday, and I hear Coach Kermit Davis on with David Kellum postgame, and he said as an aside that Jarkel Joyner could be back next year for basketball. I didn't know that.
You've got to believe, guys, and again, we'll recheck this, but that 2022 would be the last year of the super seniors, I would think, and in that last year of the of an extra year of COVID eligibility,
it helped Kentucky, Arkansas, and Ole Miss having some veteran players on the team.
I was under the impression that there was 1 year and they had to get back to normal scholarship numbers. It doesn't seem to be the case.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's going to end.
Poor compliance people.
I would think,
God.
Let's just say, conservatively speaking, that there's one more year of this coming up this season in 2022. That would have to end that. I would think.
Can't you just see a coach wearing out somebody in the compliance office? You mean I played an ineligible player? I don't know who's eligible anymore, Coach. Nobody knows these rules.
Absolutely. Listen, right now, if you want a college job, compliance probably would not be the place to go.
Or go to the state fair and be a flaming knife catcher.
Yeah, that may be. That's good. The risk,
both of them not very pretty thankless, aren't they?
About the same.
So
the liability, yes.
Here's the question I'm interested to see. I want to hear both of you guys' answer on this because I've heard a lot of people talk about it, and it all comes down to transfer portal, and they talk about regulation. Regulation is the word that's always used. What does that look like, though? What type of regulation are we talking about?
We don't know what that means right now, Gabe.
And state to state.
I think what they're trying to do, help me on this, Brett, but I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to put some kind of number limit, some kind of date limit, some kind of...
And I understand that.
Yeah. I think that's probably what they're getting
a deadline,
right?
a hardcore dead set
Shouldn't
deadline.
Actual school and enrolling at the registrar's office play in here somewhere?
Absolutely. Yeah, there's no doubt. And look, that's a good point, that a lot of these... And that point has been made to a lot of people over the last week or two, that the drop dead date for this term or quarter or semester was either like last Friday or for some schools this Friday. So to Brett's point, yes, at some point the academics have got to square away with the rest of the stuff.
Man, I'd already failed 2 tests by this time.
Missed classes already.
A whole bunch.
The one thing when I hear that, I don't want it to lead to restriction, because I think now that the toothpaste is out of the tube, Brent, I don't know if you can put it back in. I don't know what else you can do to.
You have the state of Alabama state legislators tearing up their current law and rewriting it more favorably, more excessively.
Yeah, so that the state schools can be able to.
Of course.
Yes, no question.
Want to get Troy every chance they get, don't we?
Well, sure. Yeah, there's no doubt.
All right,
about
speaking of those schools in state, I haven't said anything about it. It's just been a day or two, but I hadn't made any big declarative statements. Do we have full train wreck at Auburn right now or not?
It's close.
Wow.
When
I saw them on October 29th, what date was it? Well, I was down there when Ole Miss played down there last fall.
Yes,
it was a good football team, and it hadn't been since that night.
No, they've got. I don't know
30th.
if I've ever seen this many linemen leave. I mean, they've had double-digit defensive linemen who have left. Obviously, Austin Davis, the latest, gets there, and my goodness, he barely had a cup of coffee in the copy room. And he's already going. Brandon Marcello had a very interesting article yesterday on all that is going on at Auburn, kind of detailing some of the moves. I think part of this is Brian Harson's going in there trying to give them more discipline, but he's coming off as being this iron fist, shall we say, or that's kind of what Marcelo mentioned, that's just been too, restrictive. I don't know if punitive is a word I want to give, but look, the bottom line here is that what part of the Auburn booster, and Gabe Brett understands this well, and you will too, if you don't already, Auburn has got a split right now with the old-time big money people and the more in the younger group. They kind of want two different things. I mean, they all want the
win.
The winning and championships and all that stuff. But they're looking at different people along that line too. So Auburn.
I know who will win. Tim Cook and Jimmy Rain will win.
Oh yeah, well the people have got the money. There's absolutely no doubt about that. And by the way, I thought this was interesting, guys. Kevin Steele is wound up in Maryland. They're finalizing a contract for him to be the D coordinator. And as you guys remember, there was a lot of thought that instead of hiring Brian Arson, that they were going to. A lot of the big money people wanted Kevin Steele.
He'd have been good too.
Mm-hmm. He's good defensive mind. He's real good defense coordinator.
Yeah, look, he's a good football coach, and again, the big joke for Kevin was that it was wearing him out, sitting in Knoxville counting his money every day. But obviously
Tough
coaches
job.
want to coach, and that's what they do.
And here's the thing, and I saw the Brandon Marcello piece too about what's going on, and I know from experience there is, when you have a new coach come in, there's always going to be people that do not like said coach, regardless of how good they are or how bad they are. So I thought there was going to be some of that with Brian Harsin. There's going to be some people leave the program, yada yada yada. But going 6-7 and losing all the talent that they've lost feels different because
5 straight.
And not to mention, when you talk about Gus Malzahn, reason he was kicked out of his job is sort of mediocrity, and then in recruiting there was some mediocrity. Couldn't get a high school offensive tackle. Couldn't do some things there. This feels substantially different than just a changing of the guard with Brian Harsin.
Well, I mean, they may be looking at, and again, it's too early to predict. We just don't know. But look, they might be Tank Bigsby changing his mind and leaving away from being in real trouble.
Yep.
And what I mean by that is something like, akin to 4-8 or 5-7 type stuff. But as Brett said, you end the season losing 5 straight games on the heels of a very mediocre last half a dozen years with Gus Malzahn, and they are not trending in the right direction in arguably the hardest division in football.
Yep.
And the contrast with what's going on right there in their backyard. That always has made it tough for them. So let's go there. Here's a scenario I hope to see happen. I hope I live long enough to see it happen. I think I will if it goes down. I want D'Amico Ryans to get one of these open NFL jobs.
Right.
I want him to crush it. I want him to knock it out of the park. I love D'Amico Ryans. I want him to do well. That all parallels with the natural ending of the greatest college football coach I've ever seen in Coach Nick Saban. And D'Amico Ryans, off of his NFL success, gets that job at Tuscaloosa, and nobody likes hiring from the NFL more than Alabama. Ray Perkins came from the NFL. Gene Stallings came from the NFL. Mike Shula came from the NFL, so 2 out of 3 ain't bad. And Nick Saban came from the NFL. Bama likes the NFL connection because it has cachet, and their recruiting just kind of does it on its own.
Well, the interesting thing about that is by the time that Saban is ready to retire, will they be past the, we're going to call Dabo first, thought process, and will they be past all the disciples out there?
Lane Kiffin.
Now, look, you can't tell me that if they didn't, and we're just projecting here, that if they didn't, I'm not saying they will, that if they didn't, but besides D'Amico, that if they called Jimbo, maybe not Kirby, or maybe they would. Billy Napier, if he comes to fruition. I mean, there may be some really. I mean, that Greg Burr and Cole list could be pretty impressive.
Dabo on there?
Yes.
I think
he's certainly there.
I think he would be up there. I don't think a successful Billy Napier and Kirby would ever leave Florida, and Kirby Smart's not leaving Georgia to go to Alabama. Lane Kiffin,
I agree with that.
I think he takes a call and listens very attentively. But it would be so good for Alabama if my scenario played out for DeMeco Ryans, because he was one more tough ball player for them.
You know, the interesting thing about him, what I read on that today, is he had help me on this. I think he had a chance to interview with the Vikings and turned it down because he wanted another year to learn. I thought that was
pretty smart.
Interesting that he was waiting on the right job. And listen, guys, you know, I'm reading between the lines here. Speaking of Minnesota and Jim Harbaugh interviewing with them tomorrow on National Signing Day, if you're a signee or a guy who's about to sign with Michigan tomorrow, and your coach is interviewing in front of the Vikings, what message is that sending?
I'm out of here.
Absolutely, it's what it is. There's no question that's what it is.
And he got his win over Ohio State. He got his college football playoff. And when the first signing date wheels around next year, even if he's still there, imagine all the memes out there from Ohio State fans on signing day next year.
Oh, yeah.
Are you signing with him, or is he really interviewing with somebody?
Well, and that's a great question. But I mean, look, you can't interview with them on Thursday or Friday.
Right.
What in the world, guys?
Mm-hmm. And then some of the names that have come up for that Michigan job, if it does indeed open up, I looked at the odds this morning. One would be Josh Gaddis, his OC. Mm-hmm. Then it would be Bill O'Brien is at plus 400. That's a possibility. Then Matt Campbell at plus 500. Bill O'Brien at this point, with what just happened with Josh McDaniels, you think he'll be headed off to the Patriots here before long and leaving Alabama?
Oh, yeah. I mean, my understanding is he's going from Alabama. Mm-hmm. It's just like Doug Marrone, the offensive line coach, is going from Alabama too. Obviously, they made a good hire with the Kentucky offensive line coach. Also, Eric Wolford. O'Brien could have several possibilities. Frankly, and listen, he wasn't great at Alabama, but he wasn't as bad as some of the Alabama fans thought he was. Mm-hmm. I mean, he did his job. I mean,
he won a Heisman Trophy.
Absolutely, and you get to the national championship game. I think you've done something fairly well. But
standard pretty high there, though.
Yeah. That will be those will be two. Wolford, I think, is already a good hire. But in that situation, they'll be an interesting hire to see where Saban goes there.
Mm-hmm. In your neck of the woods, curiously, last thing for you, Brent, with Billy Napier in Florida, what's the feeling? How is he being received through his recruiting class and everything else? Is there positivity? Is there?
And the Friday night state championship game, I like.
Yeah, boy, I tell you one thing, that stirred some stuff up here yesterday, as you can imagine. Number one, just if people haven't heard Florida State on Black Friday, prime time in Tallahassee. They actually have played on at prime time before, but it was still years ago. Napier's done a good job. Again, he's going to have a lot of time. He's hired 45 staff people. He has done a great job in turning some things around. Like he's gotten props for nutrition program and things of that nature that really needed to be changed. He'll look at some buildings. The thing about Napier is very quiet. He is probably more an introvert than anything else, but he gets a lot of stuff done behind the scenes, and it may not go through the first year, but I think Gator fans will quickly appreciate what he's doing.
Right. There's no question about it. Brent, always appreciate it, man. Thanks for joining us.
Me too, guys. Take care.
Thank you, Brent. You got
My pleasure.
And you can follow him on Twitter at Brent Beard. That's Beaird. That's something that I've been trying to get a finger on the pulse of, is how Florida fans were, there's no question, they were ready to move on from Dan Mullen. But how is Billy Napier being received? Because he's not necessarily some ace recruiter. He's going to do decent in the transfer portal, but he's not very loud.
Just win, baby.
He's not very open. If he wins, he'll be accepted well, but we'll see what happens. There's no question about it. When we come back, we're going to switch gears. We got some Grizzlies to talk about. Grizzlies lose last night, 122-119 in overtime to the 76ers. They're still 35-18, still third in the Western Conference. They have this backcourt duo by the name of John Moran and Desmond Bane, and they are just tearing it up. We'll talk to Rob Fish when we come back about all that and more right here on Sports 56 98.5.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone, where we've got more ways to get you what you need your way. Get the job done today with our free same-day store pickup. Just order online and pick it up the same day at your local AutoZone. Or get it done tomorrow with our free next-day delivery. Just order on AutoZone.com by 10 p.m. and we'll deliver it to you the next day. Getting your job done just got easier. Free next-day delivery and eligible orders. Restrictions at AutoZone.com.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
So you need to sell your house? I have the solution. Call 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Call my buddy Bill at I Buy Houses. Any house, any area, as is. It's literally as simple as that. Just pick up your phone. Call 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Call my buddy Bill at I Buy Houses. Guaranteed to close in 5 days. If you need to sell your house fast, call Bill at 901-406-1101. That's Bill at I Buy Houses.
I'm with John Burgos in the alley at the world-famous Rendezvous. John, it's so good to see you. How are things at the restaurant?
Brett, things in the restaurant are fine, but like all restaurateurs will tell you, things are still not back to normal. Supply chains are interrupted. 1 week we can't find charcoal. Another week we're short on ribs. Another week they can't find the plastic bottles to fill our sauce jars with. I've watched in awe as our fellow Memphis restaurateurs have worked their way through these past months.
John, always new and exciting things at the Rendezvous.
People know we have Greek salad, vegetarian red beans and rice, and vegetarian nachos. But now we have desserts. Miss Barbara of O Taste and See has individually wrapped some wonderful desserts. We have key lime pie, chess pie, chocolate chess pie, and pecan pie. Not pecan pie, pecan pie. We also have a new twist at the Rendezvous. We now have outdoor dining. It's in the side alley along the Rendezvous, not the one in the front. And depending on the weather and depending on staffing, please call ahead to make sure we're open. And we hope it becomes a mainstay here at the Rendezvous.
Mr. Charlie Burgos' world-famous Rendezvous in the alley in downtown Memphis.
Case IH is a proud supporter of the Mississippi Farm Bureau, and thanks to a membership benefits partnership, Mississippi Farm Bureau members receive a discount of up to $500 on every qualifying Case IH tractor and piece of equipment you purchase. This discount may be used with other promotions, rebates, or offers. So join Mid-South Ag Equipment and the Mississippi Farm Bureau and pocket up to $500 in savings. Call Mid-South Ag at 662-890-3141 to get your discount today. If you want to make money in sales, Flynn Broadcasting wants you. If you can sell, Flynn Broadcasting has a great career waiting for you. If you can sell, we have great benefits, salary, commission, sales leads, and a great place to work. If you can sell, let us know today. Send your resume to jobs@flynn.com. Can everyone sell? No. But if you can, Flynn Broadcasting wants you. Apply today at jobs@flynn.com. Start your great career today at jobs@flynn.com. Flynn Broadcasting wants you.
I know the sweetest thing in Memphis, and I know it's been around for 120 years. You know, I'm talking about Dinstall's, and it's time to stock up heavy on Cashew Crunch, Heavenly Crunch, Turtlettes, all of your favorite Dinstall's treats to watch the playoff games and to watch all the basketball. It's so easy to get. The sweetest thing in Memphis, all you have to do is head to Laurelwood or head to Germantown and Poplar right across from the hospital, or go where they make the candies. That's on Pleasant View. There's nothing that says Memphis better than Cashew Crunch with that little tinge of coconut, or the Turtlettes. Let's face it, there's nothing better than Dinstall's chocolate. That's the mainstay of all candies, isn't it? Milk, chocolate, although their dark chocolate is pretty darn good. And if you get the peppermint with the dark chocolate and put it in the freezer, you're going to love it. So many ways to love Dinstall's. 115 years of making Memphis oh so sweet.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Gabe Kuhn.
Grizzlies sitting at 35-18, third in the Western Conference, 4 full games ahead of the Utah Jazz, even after losing last night 122-119 to the 76ers in overtime. We bring in the sideline and pre- and post-game host from the Memphis Grizzlies TV network, Rob Fisher, at The Fish Nation on Twitter. Rob, how are you, man?
Good, man. How you doing, Gabe?
Doing well. How are you feeling? Are you feeling all right?
I feel great. Unfortunately, yeah, and health and safety protocols still and out, but yeah, I feel fine. Have no symptoms, but unfortunately, it finally got me. I was one of the last few standing, and it finally got me. So,
boy, you dodged it a long
right.
time, Rob. What was your reaction when they said positive?
Lit up a cigarette and said, "Yeah, that's about right."
What would you say on days when they said negative? Lit up a cigarette and said about right.
Yeah, probably about the same thing. No, it was, I mean, it was weird because the league had around the holidays you were tested every single day, so every day you were kind of nervous. And then that ended January 15th, and then we had the MLK game, and on game days I still have to test because I'm on the floor with the players. So I had to test on that day, and then I was fine, and then I didn't have to test again because we didn't do the road trip, and I went 2 weeks without testing, and I don't know. I felt like I've gone too long because I think we all kind of felt it was just a matter of when, not if, and yeah, I'm just glad it got me and that I don't have any symptoms. I feel fine, and I'm glad it happened while we were at home instead of being stuck out on the road trip.
Who do you blame for giving it to you?
Well, I don't want to say this loud because she's out here, but my daughter, no doubt. I mean, those gross little kids at school. I don't know.
Bringing all that stuff home.
Yeah, I don't know. I assume maybe that's where it came from. I have no idea, but because I haven't done anything. I haven't been around anybody because I have tested negative for so long, and it was just I was very careful and. So I don't know, but it can just get you.
How do we test you out? Are you day to day at this moment, or is that super secret confidential information? How you test out? How do you get out of it?
Well, I guess I should answer it like Taylor Jenkins. We're following all the protocols that the league has in place.
It's a good idea.
Yeah, I like that.
I mean, I don't really understand it. I mean, our trainer Pete Elliott, wonderful man, and I mean he's had a hell of a year having to deal with
I'd imagine
all the testing and contacting people. I mean, he's in touch with me every day, explaining what these numbers mean because I don't know what they mean, but he's explaining it to me and explaining when I could be back. The hope is, well, I feel pretty good that I'll be back by the next home game next Tuesday. Mm-hmm. Maybe there's an outside shot I could be back by Orlando this weekend, but a lot would have to go into that. So I'm hoping by next Tuesday. Planning on being back next Tuesday for the home game.
And Rob, we kid and we laugh, but we all are very aware of how serious it is. Almost 900,000 Americans over the last 2 years have lost their life from it. But yeah. we are wading through. But if it wasn't for this mania, if it wasn't for what we've been through since Rudy Gobert night, would you have ever thought you were feeling bad? You were, air quotes here, ill? Anything?
Since then, no. Well, yes, I did. I was, I think we talked about it. I threw out the first pitch at Little Rock this year, and, and it was the week prior to that I felt sick, and I went to the doctor, and because I think we're all we feel like if we feel sick, we don't have a cold anymore. If we feel sick, we got COVID. I mean, that's kind of how we're living right now. And certainly that was the first thought in my mind. And I went and I got tested, and the test came back negative, and the doctor told me, she just said, you have what we call a cold. And I was like, okay. And I've never been more relieved. It's like, oh, good. Oh, I got the cold. But that's it. That's the only time that I've felt sick. A couple sinus headaches here and there, but nothing.
But otherwise,
I've been very lucky.
Honestly,
I've
Rob,
been very careful. Yeah.
Tonight is the night a lot of years that we, you, WHBQ, you at other places would be at a Super Bowl with it kicked back a week. But this would be Super Bowl media party night. A lot of those Wednesday mornings, have you felt worse those Wednesday mornings or the morning you were described as positive?
I think those Wednesday mornings for sure. Watching the B-52s at the zoo in Tampa was an unbelievable experience. And my favorite media party experience ever, it was Eli Savoy and I, and we were in Jacksonville.
Yes.
And at the media party, it was at 17 Sawgrass. That's where they had the media party in the big tent along the left side of that Island Green. And we walked up, and they were letting everybody take a shot at the Island Green. And we were like, oh, awesome. We get to take a shot at the Island Green. They were giving away prizes for, close to the pin and things. But just to take a shot at that historic green would have been great. And as we walked closer, we heard Hootie and the Blowfish playing. And I love Hootie and the Blowfish. And I was like, is that them actually performing, or is that just their music? And we walk in this tent, and it's Hootie and the Blowfish in front of about, 500 people maybe. And
to heck with a knockdown 7-iron.
I was like, well, let's get some food, have a couple drinks, watch Hootie, and we'll go out and hit one later. And we sat there and we watched the concert and had a couple of cocktails and had a little food. And all of a sudden the concert was over. We're like, all right, let's go hit our shot. And we walked out and it was over. Oh, boy, I had an opportunity to hit a tee shot at 17 Sawgrass and blew it. Never was able to do it.
Talking with Rob Fisher at The Fish Nation on Twitter. So Grizzlies lose last night, but Ja and Bane last night were unbelievable. 22 and 23 years old. This year, I know what we saw from Ja last year with Jonas Valanciunas in the lineup, taking some of the offensive production off his back. How much of it do you think is Steven Adams entering in and Ja and Desmond Bane being able to open up and getting the opportunities? Do you think it's more that, or is it just pure growth from both of those guys year to year?
Well, I think it's all of those things, really. Mm-hmm. Not to give it an easy answer, but I think it's a little bit of all of that, and probably even a little bit more. But I think the main thing is growth. And John Morant, just like everything else in his basketball just talent, growth is it's come quick, and from being a leader to you see him grow within seasons too. I mean, his ability now, you remember last year when he wanted to dunk on everybody. Everybody. And now you see he'll pull up at the elbow, or he'll pull up just short of the restricted circle, or he'll take it all the way to the basket and lay it in. I mean, at first he thought he could just go to the basket and he could score on anybody by taking it to them. But he learned how to manipulate guys when going to the basket. It's not trying to dunk on everybody. Sure, he'll still dunk on you if you give him the opportunity, but he's going to take what's given. Brevin says it all the time. We can't just look and define Ja by the flashy plays that he makes, because within those flashy plays, there's always a purpose. There's always a fundamental, smart basketball IQ play within the flashy play. And that's what makes him such a special player. I mean, when he's driving on Chicago and he wants to throw one down and he leaves his feet, and the only thing he can do is, a 360 and then lay it in. I mean, it's calculated. There's a reason why he did it. It's not just to look good. It's to score. And it's remarkable how good he is at that. But his learning process, his growth has just gone through the roof in such a short period of time. And then Desmond Bane, his growth has been incredible. And I think, similar to what we saw with Zaire Williams early this season, you kind of come in the league and you feel like, okay, this is what you do. This is your niche. And it felt like, we thought Desmond Bane's niche is he's just going to be a knockdown shooter, 3-point guy, stand out there and knock down threes. And boy, he's got the ability to do that.
Right.
But what we've seen, the growth in him now being in the starting lineup, now being trusted to just be a basketball player. And the word that he used to even describe himself last week, which is one of my favorite words, he's a hooper. I mean, the guy just goes out and plays. We've seen he can get to the basket and score. He can get steals. He can get out in transition and lead the fast break and generally finish on the fast break. We saw before last night where he knocked down 5 threes.
Mm-hmm.
The previous 2 games, he had 4 combined in the 2 games, yet he had 2 20-point games. I mean, he can score without having to knock down threes with the ability to knock down threes. I mean, he's grown into a very valuable player in the NBA. And, I mean, other than Ja, the most consistent guy the Grizzlies have had this season.
Rob, are we getting close? I know it irritated so many of us that Mike Conley never was the recipient of it, but are we getting close to Ja getting the superstar call?
Well, I think we saw it the other night against what game was it? Was it Utah or Washington? It was one of the last home games where I think it was Washington, where basically Washington got back in the game and Ja decided he was going to take it to the basket every single time. Every single time. And he couldn't score, but he kept getting the foul calls and getting to the free throw lines, and he knocked down the free throws. I think he knocked down the last 6 in the game. I think it's not full blown there yet, but I think it's getting there. I do believe it's getting there. And boy, and I can't wait. I can't wait to be in another team's arena and them all boo because the Grizzlies are
like
getting a
San
call.
Antonio.
Mm-hmm.
All those years we had to see Tony Parker get it.
Yeah, and let me tell you something. I'm still mad at Kyle Anderson's stats. When you and I were at Media Day interviewing Kyle Anderson, and we talked about San Antonio getting all them calls, and he had the nerve to say, we always thought Memphis got the calls. We were like, are you
He patted me on the head.
I mean, I can't wait.
Down, little man.
Yeah, I mean, the last time the Grizzlies were in San Antonio and Ja was getting all the calls and the fans were booing, I was just sitting there laughing.
Tough luck.
Because,
me too.
Man, I mean, poor you guys. Seriously. But
yeah.
It's gonna happen with Ja. And Brevin said that last week. Brevin's a smart guy when he talks basketball. He's got a little experience.
Anytime.
But he said that, John knows how to get a call. And that's a talent. It's not just it's not that you just get calls. Chris Paul doesn't just get calls.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin Durant doesn't just get them. They know how to get them.
Yep.
And John Morant knows how to get them. And I think
crafty
we'll see that more and
left-handers.
more.
Remember this about
no
Brevin, Rob. Always remember this about Brevin. His SAT was higher than all of ours combined.
Yeah, I know.
I didn't take the SAT. I was an ACT guy.
Well, there's even
then that counts as zero. Then,
yeah. Thus,
Rob said that explains a lot about you, Gabe. So we were talking about this, and obviously the first All-Star starter for the Grizzlies ever was Marc Gasol, and he did it at age 30. And you have Ja Morant now at age 22, breaking through already, 25 points per game, 6 assists per game. How much different does it feel than that nod to Marc Gasol?
Oh, very. I mean, with Mark, it was. With Mark, I want to say, I don't. It's weird to talk about it like this, but with Mark, it was like we were all very proud of him.
Right.
I mean, he's a great basketball player. Was having an unbelievable year, earned it. And there was a pride. There was a pride for it, and there was a pride for Mark, and a pride for the Grizzlies to have an all-star starter. This is different because this was this dude's going to be in an all-star game, and he's going to be in as many as he plays. I mean, for however many more years this guy is going to play, he's going to be an all-star year in, year out. Just the whole superstardom thing around him. A developing superstar in this league, and what we're seeing night in and night out, it's just different. He's different than anything we've ever had. He's he's different than what a lot of teams have ever had. I mean, how many times we sit here and just think, or at least I do, of what's this ride going to be like? What are these next 8, 9, 10 years going to be like? Mm-hmm. I mean, you know, the contender conversation that has been out there. Rob. Yeah. I mean, you asked me if the Grizzlies are a contender this year. Man, I guess you have to say, yeah, they're capable. I mean, they do have the third best record in the league. So, and they're at the point now where they just don't surprise you anymore. So I guess you'd say, yeah, they're capable. But so much is, you know, goes into, you know, having that long run in the playoffs for the first time. That the adjustments throughout a series, the grind, just everything that goes into winning a title. You know, it's going to be tough because they are young and because they haven't done it. Are they capable? Sure. They got the third best record in the league. They're capable of beating anybody. But if you ask me the question of are they a title contender in the next 5 years, I'd say plan the parade route. Yes. Yep. Absolutely. 100%. And that, just having the conversation is so thrilling. You know, those teams, the Marc Gasols and Zebos and Tony Allen, they were great. They were great, and we love them. And we'll never forget them and really put the Memphis Grizzlies on the map. But this is different, man. There's no ceiling for this team. And we're talking about contenders within the next couple of years. Next year, when the odds come out before the season, they'll be one of the top 3-4 teams listed.
Yeah. And
that's incredible.
The odds, speaking of which, for Ja Morant MVP, Desmond Bane Most Improved Player, Jaren Jackson Defensive Player of the Year, the Grizzlies winning a championship, winning the Western Conference. How much they've changed from night one to now, it's ridiculous. It's unbelievable. Yeah. But he is the Memphis Grizzlies sideline and pre- and post-game host for Grizz on Bally. He is Rob Fisher. Rob, always appreciate it, man.
Fellas, anytime. Always a pleasure.
Thank you, Rob. Thank you so much.
You got it.
Appreciate it, Rob. You can follow him on Twitter at @TheFishNation. I hope he tests out soon. I hope he tests out a protocol soon.
Me
we need
too.
to see him back out.
I wanted to text him, get well soon, but he's not sick. It was just a positive test.
Yes. We'll get well soon. That's fair. That's
get back on TV soon.
Yes.
Test negative soon.
There you go. That's better. Well, now they have the they have the rapid response ones now that they're selling at Walgreens for $5 a pop.
Do they?
Yeah.
They were for a while. You could barely find any of the at-home tests.
Because people were buying them up and they were upcharging them.
Yeah.
I mean, they started at about $14 a piece.
I still haven't taken a single test.
I took a couple at home.
Yeah, I've had to take about 2, maybe
over
3.
the weekend after the Grizzlies game. We were at, Brett, so we were both in proximity, and we've been safe. And we've handled ourselves. But yeah. When we come back, I want to go over some of those numbers. I just mentioned it with Rob Fisher. Some of the odds on the Grizzlies, whether it's Ja for MVP, Jaren for Defensive Player of the Year. Some of these odds have boosted up so much. We'll talk about that when we come back on Sports 56 98.5.
You have opinions?
The knowledge that I have matters.
We want to hear them. Call or text us on the AutoZone listener line at 360-8255. That's the AutoZone listener line at 901-360-8255.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Memphis basketball fans, your Tigers play host to UCF at home on February 5th at FedEx Forum. Game time is at 7 p.m. This will be our 901 game, where fans can purchase a special 901 themed shirt at the Tiger Bookstore all week and at the game for just $5. In addition, the first 5,000 fans at the door will receive a Collector's Coaches Edition Larry Finch and Penny Hardaway coin sponsored by Regional One Health. For tickets, call 901-678-2331 or visit GoTigersGo.tix.com today.
I'm Gary York. I'm the service director at Lexus of Memphis. Our service department wants to be more than just a place where you get your oil changed. We do glass repair, windshield replacement, recalibration of your camera and sonar systems, even wheel repair, tire replacement, all the things you would expect from a luxury automotive dealer. Please check out our website. You can schedule your appointment, check out our specials, hours of operation, or if you'd like to do it in person, please reach out to one of our associates at 901-271-5199.
General contractors, subcontractors, Zipcat can help you find workers for the jobs you're needing done. Contractors, just post your jobs on Zipcat for the price you want them done for. Subcontractors will find the jobs listed on Zipcat and offer to buy them. You both have 3 days to accept and approve the subcontracting job you bought. For the best tool in your toolbox, download the Zipcat app. Roofers, concrete, plumbers, HVAC, painters, download it free. Zipcat, Z-I-P-C-A-T. Z-I-P-C-A-T. That's Zipcat.
You know you need a good team to make that game-winning shot, just like when you throw the ball up the court and your teammate dunks it for a score. If you're moving, you need a good team from tip-off to the final buzzer. This is Sheldon Rosengarten with Marks Bensdorf, and I can send you to the showers happy. Whether you're moving across town or across the country, I have the ability to either connect you with a real estate professional in another city or help you get off the bench here and sell your home and find you another one. I have a highly successful, award-winning strategic marketing program, and being a member of leading real estate companies of the world, a worldwide relocation network means I can put you in a complete real estate sell and buy package. That's why people say, when you want the job done, call Shell Dunn. That's Shell Dunn Rosengarten at 682-1868 or through my website at memphisrelocate.com. Do it now, 682-1868 or memphisrelocate.com. And don't forget to ask about the Shell Bucks option.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Gabe Kuhn.
So, Brett, you sent me an email this morning and had the odds from betonline.ag on various different markets, going from the NCAA basketball tournament, NCAA football next year, and the NBA. And seeing, from start to finish, from day one of the NBA season to where we are right now, seeing where the Grizzlies are on some of these betting markets is jarring, to say the least. I guess I'll start with NBA championship odds, because those really sort of threw me for a loop. Day one of the NBA season, 66-1. Grizzlies now at 28-1. Just the climb that they are on. Western Conference, you look at what they were to start the year, 50-1, now at 12-1. Higher odds or slightly
12-1 is more than puncher's chance.
Oh, no question about it. And this is better odds than the Nuggets, the Clippers, the Mavs. Teams that we thought without question would be ahead of schedule compared to where the Grizzlies are. Mm-hmm. And then when you talk about awards, I was amazed to see Jaren Jackson Jr. actually on Defensive Player of the Year, where he's climbed from. He was off the board to start the year. Then once the year started, 66-1. Now 6-1 to win Defensive Player of the Year, Jaren Jackson Jr.
And there's got to be somebody in our listening audience that took a flyer on some of these just because they're a Grizzlies fan. Yeah.
And also, speaking of Jaren Jackson Jr., I had to sort of look up last night and realize what I was talking about. I think it's very possible he could be an all-defensive player this year. I think that's very, very possible. But I had to look up. He's the leader in blocks. In total blocks this year in the NBA. He's at 119 after 2 last night. And that
he might have gotten a superstar
NBA
call last night on that foul. I mean, he almost decapitated Curry.
Yeah, that was a rough sort of ending there. I wasn't mad.
Doc
I thought,
went crazy, didn't he?
But Doc should have saved
Doc's
his challenge.
running hot, too.
Doc should have saved that challenge, when you think about it. Should have saved the challenge for that call, but he didn't.
Doc knows he's got to cash it in this year.
Jaren up one on Miles Turner for blocks, 119 to 118. And the MVP sort of scenario, Ja was 40-1 to start the year. People thought he'd be in the conversation, but not like he is right now, 12-1. 12-1 for Ja Morant to be an MVP.
It could happen.
But that wasn't the thought coming into the year. That was not even close to the thought.
I thought my 46 was shooting too high.
Put him in most improved conversation. Let him get to the All-Star game. Let him be a reserve in the All-Star game. But we find ourselves approaching the All-Star break. He's a starter, and he's only 12-1 in regards to his standing of being an MVP. That's fifth right now among players.
I mean, they do a great job with it, but their marketing plan the rest of this year, what Rob Fisher was just talking about, the idea of talking about in the future winning one. I wonder what percentage of ticket sales that automatically increases, just, betting on the hope, betting on the future. But the rest of the year, their theme could be, this is really happening.
It is. It's so jarring and so weird to think about the conversations preseason about, is Taylor Jenkins going to be around for the best of this team? Without Jonas Valanciunas, is Jaren Jackson Jr. ready to take the step? Can Ja shoulder that load? What will Desmond Bane be able to do with putting the ball on the ground? Can he make plays, or is he just a spot-up three-point shooter? All those questions have been answered in the positive. All of those answers were perfect. Were ideal.
The Zaire questions have been answered.
Questions.
I thought when he let that go last night, I thought it was a pretty good look. The iron was unkind.
Brett,
so what?
Honest,
move on.
I feel like I'm already wrong on my Zaire.
I am. I'm there.
I mean, he's right now. He's growing.
Now
into
it's just
himself.
a matter
he's understanding
of how
himself.
extraordinarily wrong I'm going to be.
And by the way, Taylor Jenkins for Coach of the Year, 15-2. Started at 22-1 at the beginning of the year, 15-2 at this point in the year. And I think it's very, very possible.
Come on, Vegas, break this down. You're not the combine. You're not the Senior Bowl. We don't need odds like that. Break that 15-2 down, more understandable for people.
7.5-1.
That's it.
There you go.
Let's do it.
Yeah, I broke it down for you. Simplifying fractions. I know I got hit in the head a few times. I still do math. I can still do a little bit of math. But to think about the meteoric rise of this team and
they've earned it. Back-to-back 12 in 4 months gets you there.
In just 53 games. It's insane. And also this Ja and Bane backcourt. The question for me now, it's not about among young guys, how good are they? Where do they rank? It's about where do they rank with all the veterans too?
Isaiah Thomas saying last night it reminded him of the growth of Dumars and Isaiah Thomas with the Pistons.
And you look around the league and you look for higher scoring backcourt duos. There's only one. And that's in Chicago with DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine. Other than that, they're second when it comes to points per game scoring. They're both top 10 among Western Conference guards and offense rating. There's some good backcourts out there. Bulls, Suns, Nets, Warriors. But they have certainly entered themselves into that conversation without question. Now, that'll do it for hour number 2. Hour number 3 is on the way, and we'll start it with our good friend Beau Marchant from collegetopro.com. He's actually in Mobile at the Senior Bowl. We'll talk to him about some prospects. We'll talk to him about Tom Brady retiring. We'll get to all that and more on the other side on Sports 56, 98.5.
It doesn't matter how much you owe on your trade-in. It doesn't matter if you've got bad credit. Everybody saves big during Sunrise Buick GMC's year-end blowout. Hundreds of new and used Buicks and GMCs with a $5 million used car inventory, specializing in cars and trucks under $10,000. Remember, Sunrise wants to get you financed. Bad credit, bankrupt, slow pay, it's okay. Sunrise specializes in secondary financing and works to get you financed when no one else can. Zero down with approved credit delivers at Sunrise. Buy American and buy from SunriseMemphis.com. Collierville, Covington Pike, and Wolf Chase. We make it fun to buy a car again.
Do you want a greener, more weed-free lawn? If you're like me, you can't stand the sight of dandelions, clover, or especially crabgrass. Hi, I'm Brandon Hawley, president of Lawn Solutions. We are your locally owned and operated weed control and fertilization company. We are also experts in disease and insect control on your lawn and landscape. Our uniformed technicians are full-time, year-round licensed and certified by the state of Tennessee. Lawn Solutions' personalized service is far more superior to that of national companies that promise but simply cannot deliver. We return phone calls, we keep appointments, and we want your business. What we will not do is bother you with endless phone calls or junk mail. Lawn Solutions will not sell you something your lawn doesn't need. If you're looking for a local lawn care company to kill your weeds and feed your grass, then Lawn Solutions is the finest. Call us at 867-5626. That's 867-5626. Or go online at LawnSolutionsInc.net. From our family to yours, we want to thank you for your business.
I often say they've set the bar for the way car business should be done at Homer Skelton Hyundai. You know how close that is. It's right there at Highway 78, Lamar Avenue, and Craft Road, the very first exit in Mississippi. I say it because they always come up with new innovations. And right now, when we've had all these shortages on new cars, Homer Skelton Hyundai is always going to come through for you. You won't pay more than the sticker price for a new car at Homer Skelton Hyundai. That's Chris True's pledge. You'll never pay more than sticker price. Those other guys, they could charge you a whole lot more for that new car because they know there's a shortage. That never happens at Homer Skelton Hyundai. That's part of the philosophy and the team that's been together for about 15 years now. You want the best of service? You want the best of products? It's the combination and the trust you'll always get from the best guys around. Homer Skelton Hyundai and Genesis of Olive Branch.
Moving is stressful, but Black Tie Moving can take the worry out of the process. Whether you're moving across town or across country, moving your home or your office, your personal moving concierge from Black Tie Moving will work with you to design a plan that perfectly fits your budget and needs. And they're available 24/7 to answer any questions you have. Give Black Tie Moving a call at 901-316-6196 or go to blacktiemoving.com/Memphis to get your personal, no-obligation quote from the moving experts at Black Tie Moving.
The global shortage on chicken is finally over, but there are still places that will tell you that it is hard to find, except for our good friends at Poultry Power. Poultry Power is currently delivering chicken in bulk to your home or business at prices lower than your local grocer or food distributor. Having a cookout or catering event? Tired of being told no by other food companies when you need chicken for your restaurant? Poultry Power can save the day. Visit www.poultrypower.org to place your order now. And remember, when others tell you no, Poultry Power has the power to tell you yes.
I'm here with the great Pat Donahue from the Rendezvous Restaurant Shipping Department.
Thanks, Brett. We've been shipping our ribs all over the country now for decades from our USDA-inspected shipping kitchen in the Pinch District. We hand-cook our ribs in pits that Mr. Charlie built over charcoal, just like they do at the restaurant.
So what comes in a rib box?
We could do pork shoulder, we could do ribs, our sauce, seasoning, baked beans, coleslaw. We'll even throw in Pancho's cheese dip with our nacho boxes. We also put a bag of Rendezvous seasoned popcorn, heating instructions, some chef hats, some wet naps, and some other helpful tips from our kitchen. We ship our ribs overnight, exclusively FedEx. And we put them in nice packaging. We don't ever want to use styrofoam, so we use corrugated cardboard, actually 2 boxes that fit nice together, so the ribs get to you, your loved ones, or your clients in a safe, wholesome manner. Rendezvous ribs are perfect for out-of-town clients, customers, loved ones. We also ship ribs for any occasion.
Where do we order these great ribs?
You can go to www.hogsfly.com or give us a call at 1-888-464-7359.
Charlie Burgos' Rendezvous Restaurant in the alley since 1948.
We are Sports 56 WHBQ Memphis and W253DF Memphis, Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56. This hour is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Gabe Kuhn.
Blockbuster news from the NFL on and off the field. We will talk about all that and early look at Super Bowl 56 with Bo Marchant, who is in Mobile at the Senior Bowl. But first, I want to tell you about our title sponsor of this hour, and that's DeSoto Auto Sales at 5704 Goodman Road. Go online to DeSotoAutoSales.com and look at all those beautiful cars and check out all the testimonials, all the referrals from all the very, very pleased customers through the years. All the cars test-driven and checked out thoroughly from bumper to bumper at DeSoto Auto Sales. Every make, every model, no shortcuts taken. You're treated like family at DeSoto Auto Sales. Kind, courteous employees, laid-back atmosphere, no high-pressure sales, but they care about your time and want you to enjoy the ultimate car experience. Walk in, find the car you want within 45 minutes. Test drive that car, credit approved, paperwork completed, and you're out of there in a guarantee 45 minutes. You can do it over your busy lunch hour, like right now, immediately after work. They know we live in a world today that time really matters. That's why they keep it very simple and efficient at DeSoto Auto Sales at 5704 Goodman Road, 662-890-7184. Come on down to DeSoto County for that town and country experience at DeSoto Auto Sales. We go to Mobile, where Bo Marchant is at the Senior Bowl. But, Bo, what's the repercussion from the Brian Flores lawsuit, the news breaking at this very hour of his blockbuster lawsuit against the NFL with a lot of racial allegations and hiring practices questioning. Well, has that been the talk today, or has it just been football at the Senior Bowl?
No, it's ironic that you said that because it actually it created a buzz. Put it that way. We were in the stands watching the practices, and somebody came up and he goes, "Hey, I just heard," and he heard scouts talking about it. Then and then it just kind of it's a topic. So nonetheless, I mean, if you're the epicenter of basically where everyone from the National Football League and everyone who covers the National Football League, it's definitely going to be a topic. It's going to be probably a topic tonight too, as everybody goes out into downtown Mobile and eats, drinks, and kind of connects and talks about this very, very shocking case that who knew this was coming down the pike. And I mean, 58 pages, that's pretty, I mean, I'm not a lawyer or an attorney, but that seems pretty adequate that there's a lot going on there.
Yeah, a lot of text and a lot of documentation. He is a serious figure. They're not going to be able to discount him as an angered employee.
And we're talking, and it really is, it's not a shocking thing because you see what happened to him and how it ended in Miami and all of sort of the whispers about how he didn't get along with the front office members and everything else. It feels like a lot of information was released even on the firing from him in Miami.
I'm going to call it early. Stephen Ross, if this plays out how I think it could, Stephen Ross could get the Donald Sterling treatment. They could cash him out of that franchise.
That's a great point. That's definitely a possibility. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, maybe ownership change. I mean, this is probably be something we're going to talk about for a lot of weeks to come. Put it this way. I mean, this is at the infant stages, and you see the text with from Bill Belichick, stating 3 days prior that they already had this deal signed. That's pretty incriminating if you really are doing a fair thing, and if you're really going by the Rooney Rule, where you're putting your best foot forward and you're going to really hire the guy and give everybody a fair shot. Not just a token option, just to come in and say, "Hey, we did this to pacify everybody, but we already made our plans." So we're going to be talking about this for a long time, at least. I bet we're talking about this through the summer. Put it that way.
No guarantee it.
No question.
This one's not going away. And now the NFL, the popularity of it is untouched. Both games this last weekend. Most watched television programs since last year's Super Bowl. 60% of Americans using a TV were watching these games.
That's the shield. That's why they do what they want.
I see. I was glad we got Rob Lowe out of his shield hat and into an LA hat. I didn't need to see him wear the shield hat and hold up for Roger Goodell anymore. But as far as this matchup, I am very interested. One, I think the Rams and the Bengals, the foils there. Bengals had no idea they'd be here. Rams had every intention to be there.
Bought their way to being there.
How amazed are you, having watched the AFC North all year, seeing this Bengals team, seeing Joe Burrow? How amazed are you that they are in this position?
I'm pretty shocked. I'm not as shocked as I was prior to the season to think that this is the team representing the AFC. That mind blows me. But if you watch them play, and they were capable of beating good teams. They beat the Chiefs twice. The first game, there were some wild calls, with inside the goal line where I think the Bengals had like 15 straight plays before they finally, ran the clock out and were able to win the game. But, what they were able to do in the comeback against the Chiefs when it was 21-3, you're just thinking, wow, well, this game's over and we'll just wait for the Rams 49ers game. But they came back. They scratched their way back. They somehow made Patrick Mahomes completely void of any production in the last two quarters of that football game, which is quite amazing. And you probably kept waiting. When's Mahomes going to do the Mahomes magic? When's he going to flip the switch and turn this thing on? It just never happened. And on the flip side, the Rams, I kind of think of the Rams a little bit about like the Houston Texans when Bill O'Brien was there. He kind of followed the same business model where, we'll trade draft capital and we'll try to do different things. And it's really prevalent, just say in baseball, with the Yankees, because they can spend more money than anybody else. But it doesn't mean you're going to build a winning product. And I think that the Texans had that philosophy to an extent, not as extreme as the Rams. But on the flip side, the Rams went all in, and all the decisions that they have made, bringing in Matthew Stafford, acquiring Jalen Ramsey, bringing in Von Miller, bringing in Odell Beckham, everything's worked out perfectly up to this point. I mean, they're in the Super Bowl. It's Super Bowl or bust for Los Angeles, but nonetheless, they made it to the big game. And prior to the playoffs, you guys know I said it many times, this was such a wide open field that I thought these teams were pretty much on equal ground. I mean, anyone could beat anyone, and I think we've come to realize that, especially with the Bengals, doing what they've done and the magical run of Joe Burrow.
And you something I noticed in that Bengals-Chiefs game, and you mentioned Patrick Mahomes not being able to do anything after halftime, basically. It seemed like all of the things that he had done this year that were bad early in the season with turning the ball over caught up to him in that second half. He tipped off hands. They were getting interceptions, deflections. At the end of the game, that play he made, luckily Harrison Butker kicked it through the uprights, but that play he made at the end of the game, fumbling, Sam Hubbard sort of punching it out there at the end, they luckily got on top of it. But some of the things with Patrick Mahomes extending plays caught up to him in that game.
It did. I just spoke with Chris Cabot. He's agent, part of Steinberg Sports. And then I said, "How you doing?" He goes, "It's been a rough week." So, and I just say, I could imagine it probably has not to be the best day to be an agent for a quarterback of that caliber, and it's probably pretty dismal and disappointed with the way the performance ended. Not, and I guess give credit to the Bengals. They were able to get after him. They caused havoc. They created a frenzy of confusion that he was constantly pressured, and those mistakes.
They covered those receivers.
Yeah, they covered the D, and they got to him, and they covered the. And I joked around, but I said Andy Reid, he's never going to win another one of these big games. It's just that has to play some sort of factor into it.
The Bengals did a lot in the offseason, and I'm very partial to him. I thought the signing of Mike Hilton, I thought it would help him, and how he covered Tyreek Hill in the slot in the second half was extraordinary.
Yeah, me and you, we've talked many times, Brett, about how much we admire Mike Hilton. I mean, the ultimate fire plug, pound for pound, one of the toughest guys you're going to find in the league. And he was at a great acquirement. And as someone who covers the Steelers, I was disappointed to see him go. I mean, left via free agency, great for him. A better opportunity to make more money, and now he has a chance to win a Super Bowl. I don't know where to go. I mean, we have a couple weeks to really kind of dive in and find out, where we think these teams are going to play, in terms of who might win this game. But, the Bengals are legit, and I think that's the only thing, at least I think, like, this is not a fluke. They're not a fluky team. And when you have a quarterback on the caliber of Joe Burrow, anything's possible. And we're seeing that, again, if you're doubting that the quarterback is not the most important position by 1,000 miles from anything else, you're sadly mistaken. And that's why these teams, I even think these quarterbacks that we're seeing down in Mobile, I wouldn't really consider this draft class heavy of, these franchise-type changing quarterbacks, but I still think they're going to go very high in this draft just because if you miss, it could be catastrophic to your franchise. And if you make it, you're going to have so much success that you might be set for the next decade.
Yeah, and I can't wait to talk about Kenny Pickett and his hand size. That's the big buzz around the Senior Bowl and everything else. Now, on the other side, the Rams, if they don't get it done this year, and say they can't get it done next year or the year after, what do you think of all these moves they've made? Do you call it a success? Do you call it a failure? What do you call it?
If they look up at a 3-win team in 2 years, they're going to regret it if they don't cash it in.
Yeah, I think Brett's on something. Yeah, if they completely collapse, and maybe it's a disappointment, they're going to be disappointed without a victory in the Super Bowl. I mean, that's fair, and it's going to be the same way for the Bengals. As good as you could be, as good as you are,
never know when you'll be back.
You never know when you'll be back, and everyone's talking Joe Burrow's second year, and I remember seeing Dan Marino in his second year play the 49ers, and at that point, you always thought, "Wow, this guy's going to get back, and he's going to win another one. He might win two." But Marino never made it back, so it's hard to think that, in the second year, Joe Burrow, the way they look, but it does happen. And the interesting thing of just being down here in Mobile is the Rams have one of the fewest hires and they're the smallest scouting departments, if you will. They don't send I don't know if they sent guys down to this combine or Senior Bowl. They didn't send guys last year. They didn't send guys to the combine.
Don't have many draft picks.
Yeah, so they're doing it in a philosophy where they're going to put the emphasis on bringing guys that they believe are playmakers. And you think about it, it's a heck of a way to do it. I mean, if you get a proven product, and I think Les Snead said somewhere, they were like, well, you gave up 2 picks for Jalen Ramsey. Like, well, he gave up 1 because they're going to use a pick on a guy anyways. And then they gave up another one. And when you think about that, that's really not a lot of value, to give up, in my mind, to get a guy of his caliber. So yeah.
I'm a little bit surprised to hear the Rams are that lean and mean with their scouting department because this is just one guy. But, Bo, I promise you, every single weekend out in the SEC, Ted Monago is out there. He's out there working, grinding. He gets there on Friday. He stays for the whole game. A lot of those NFL scouts don't, but Ted is out there really working hard and knows the players in the SEC. That's one of his areas. Visiting with Bo Marchant at the Senior Bowl. Who are the 2 host teams this year? What staffs are coaching the game?
The Jets and the Panthers. The national team is by the Jets, and then the American team is by the Panthers.
All right, just a few years ago, it was the Bengals there, weren't they?
Yeah. And actually, I apologize. The Lions. I'm sorry, the Lions. Yeah.
Jets and the Lions.
Colors. Yeah.
And the Bengals were just seriously. All those people can be thinking, why not us in a few years? Get something magical at quarterback. Mm-hmm. The Lions, they have a guy that's been to a Super Bowl in Jared Goff. The Jets, they have a young quarterback. They're hoping he can deliver like Burrow. You make a few right moves and you can be there.
You can be there. Joe Burrow's look at Kyler Murray and even the Cardinals. I mean, people could, they're what? They finished the team with 11 wins. I mean, that was a team you still didn't know what they were going to do. And they really played above their heads this year and showed some progress. The Bengals, but it all comes back to the quarterback. And this is where the Steelers are going to be. I mean, they're a huge Pittsburgh media contingency in the Senior Bowl. It's so fun to see all my, media friends from Pittsburgh down here in Mobile this year. Cause, I was getting texts last night. Where should we go? Where should we do this? Where do we do that? And I said, I'll let you know, we'll take care of you. I'm seeing those guys at, South Alabama Stadium, the Hancock Memorial Stadium today. It was just kind of fun, but they're down there because they know Pittsburgh needs a quarterback, and Pickett's going to be a hot name, and Sam Howell's going to be a hot name, and they're going to want to see these guys play, and possibly these could be guys that unfold as a potential first-round pick for the Steelers.
What do you think about the whole Kenny Pickett hand size thing? Not measuring them is something that I found an interesting way to go about it, but how much should that really matter in the grand scheme of things?
It wouldn't matter to me. I think Mahomes and Drew Brees both fell under that umbrella. So I think they've proven that they're, one's going to the Hall of Fame and one looks like he's on the trajectory.
Right.
So, I don't put any stock in it. I'd be more concerned if he can, read a defense and throw an accurate football to the, off his first read. And yeah, so it's.
I saw a year of college football with Kenny Pickett. I don't need his hand size. Bo, seriously, have you ever shook hands with Kenny Pickett?
I don't think so. I don't think I have. Because one, it's COVID.
Yeah.
And they're at the podiums,
right?
And
handshaking's kind of died. That's Phil Savage's test. I know you'll see Phil this week. Used to run the Senior Bowl, but now they're with the Jets operation at SEC Media Days. The year after Johnny Manziel won the Heisman, Phil told me, and that's when Phil was doing games he was the analyst on Alabama football with Eli Gold. He said, I want to shake hands with him, and I want to stand next to him and see how tall he really is.
Hiding the hand thing is funny to me, though. Hiding the measurement. It's not like he's going to walk around all week at the Senior Bowl with his hands in his pockets. They're going to
Johnny wasn't very tall, but his hands were gargantuan size.
It's like
they
Kyler
didn't
Murray
fit his body.
Kyler Murray and Russell Wilson, same way.
Well, these guys, last night, Corey Proctor, he played in the league 5 or 6 years. He's a financial guy now, but he's got to be like 6'5". But his hands are huge. Like, you could just tell he had to do something professionally sports wise because he just has that athletic body where everything's massive. You just tell he wasn't just a a financial guy to begin with. There was something that led to becoming that. And you might not notice that with Pickett, but he's a big kid. He's solid. He's got a thick frame. He doesn't have a Dante Culpepper frame or a Cam Newton.
Does he want to stay home and be the quarterback of the Steelers?
I think he might say that publicly. I don't know, if that's how he feels. I mean, I know he's from Jersey, so unless the Giants would get rid of Daniel Jones, and it seems like the Jets, unless they do the Josh Rosen route and go in another direction after 1 year with Zach Wilson. But I don't know if he's a Jersey guy. I don't get the sense that it's a must. It's his childhood dream. He played at Pitt and he'd love to take over for Ben.
Because it was Marino's, wasn't it?
Yeah,
way back when.
So I haven't heard that, and it's not really resonated from the media side of it. That's been whispered in the press box, or just when you're just hanging out with one another, or just shooting the breeze. Where Pickett, this is his destination, or the Steelers are infatuated with him. They want to bring him aboard. I'm still not convinced they're going to take a quarterback in the first round, anyways. I still think they're going to go with the veteran. And yeah, I really do.
So who jumped out day one? Who out there was performing at a high level?
Well, I think a couple guys, and you're like, oh, come on, Bo, you got to do better than this. But Bohi Mafi, the defensive end from Minnesota, I thought he looked fabulous. He was off the ball quick, constantly. Kyron Johnson, the Kansas defensive end, kind of like a hybrid linebacker, edge kid.
Right.
I was fortunate to have the thing on. Check his thing out. I tweeted. I mean, you see a guy with his hand in the dirt. Granted, he's a small edge kid, but hand in the dirt, gets behind the pocket, play goes the other way, and then you see him running down the field, almost making the tackle. So I thought that was pretty good hustle by number 20. And a couple kids, a couple receivers did well. But I'm not going to lie, like the quarterbacks, I thought Sam Howell threw some really nice passes. The passes that he was throwing, I thought were on target, and they just had a little bit of, just a nice tight spiral. You could just tell it had a purpose when it left his hands. Some of the other quarterbacks, not so much. I don't think I wasn't wowed by anybody, saying, wow, like this guy has really elevated his stock. But it was day one, pretty vanilla day.
Right.
But yeah.
I gotta love you this video of you have of Kyron Johnson. Hilarious too, because he's undersized and he's going against Daniel Faele from Minnesota, who's just a mountain of a man, just huge.
It is, and you see, I mean, that's what is funny is you're seeing these guys come out and you're looking and you're trying to get acclimated to the numbers because they ran out of rosters. So you're on your phone, you're trying to find out. Okay, this is this guy, this is this guy, and some guys had their jerseys tucked under their pads, so you couldn't get the the read. You're just like, who's this guy? And I'm like, even with Kyron Johnson, I was like, why do they got the linebackers with the defensive ends? And I'm looking like because he played end, and and you see him do his thing. But I don't think he's going to end up at that position. If so, he's going to be that outside 3-4 guy. I mean, I don't think nobody's going to have a 240
hand in the ground. Yeah.
Remember
hand in the ground 5 technique. No.
Remember, Gil Brandt once thought he was going to make Randy White a roam around the field linebacker.
And how'd that work?
He put him down in the defensive line and he walked to Canton.
But are you planning on staying there for the day of the game, or does everybody just about leave by then?
I usually leave Wednesday or Thursday, and it's got custom that I've never seen a Senior Bowl game. I've been here for all the practices and whatnot, but I guess it's just I just follow what you come you watch the practices, and I told you guys. The scouts leave too. I mean, then that's when the family comes in.
Is there even going back and watching it on film? Even the game, is the game just that irrelevant?
No, I guarantee that they'll break the film down because we've seen guys. I mean, look at the Matt Jones catch in the Senior Bowl, and then he was elevated to a first-round pick. So, LeGarrette Blount had a fantastic Senior Bowl. I think that elevated his stock as well. So, I mean, you can definitely, you can hurt yourself as much as you can help yourself. So, it's definitely something to pay attention to, but. I guarantee anybody leaving Wednesday out of Mobile on a little flight to Dallas or something, you're going to be probably sitting next to if the plane holds 100, 70 of them are going to be NFL personnel.
That's awesome.
Matt Jones, great 40 time and even better agent. And that got him drafted.
Yeah, it helps.
You go ahead. My bad.
No, you're good.
I was saying, I appreciate it. Appreciate you joining us. We had to get out.
Bo, thank you. Have a good
Appreciate
rest
you,
of the
man.
week. And next week, we'll get a Super Bowl 56 prediction from you.
Yes, sir. Hey, stay safe, gentlemen.
You got it.
You too. And he is at Bo Marchant on Twitter from collegetopro.com.
Yeah, they're having fun in Mobile. Mobile is a good town. In Senior Bowl, all the work goes on before the game. The Germantown Commissary and the new Collierville Commissary, the work never ends there. The new Collierville Commissary at Houston, Levy, and Poplar are the original in Germantown. Super Bowl Sunday on the way and big game party on the way. Memphis-style barbecue and ribs should be a mainstay of anything, of any time, whether it's Super Bowl Sunday or a Sunday in June. Start that barbecue feast with the great appetizers like the cheese plate or the tamales or the barbecue nachos. Those tamales, so good. And the barbecue nachos, invented there in the early 80s, 1980, 182, in fact. And if you're craving an easier way to order, and we all want that, text commissary to 33733 for all that great Germantown Commissary and Collierville Commissary food. The ribs, the shoulder, the sides, beans, slaw, deviled eggs, and the party pack, 6-pack, 8-pack, 12-pack. Save room for dessert. I know that's a challenge, but do so. The lemon icebox pie, the terrific banana pudding, also good. 901-754-5540. Online at commissarybbq.com in Collierville and Germantown. And after we get through with the ice storm coming up and into the spring, we're going to get outside to those party areas at the new Collierville Commissary at Houston Levy. And Poplar are always at the original in Germantown.
We are late for a break. When we come back, we get to what's trending right here on Sports 56, 98.5.
Peter Edmiston and Anthony Sane bring you Sports 56 Grind Time. Brought to you by Poultry Power. Weekdays from 1 to 3 on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
I'm Brian Elder, 867-0303. Hurricane season is upon us. Is your roof ready? Are your shingles laying down and sealed properly? Call me right now, 867-0303. They say you get what you pay for. That's why my opinion is free. Maybe you've got years of life left in your roof. If so, I'll tell you that. But if I find storm damage or a compromised roof system, I'll lay out some options for you. Don't let them tell you it needs to be replaced if it only needs a repair. Call me, 867-0303. Has your insurance company already seen it and rejected your claim? Maybe they're correct. Most of the time, they're not. They do tend to become more reasonable once I get involved, though. 867-0303. I'll measure your roof from outer space or BrianElderRoofing.com.
Call 867-0303. Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
So you need to sell your house? I have the solution. Call 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Call my buddy Bill at I Buy Houses. Any house, any area, as is. It's literally as simple as that. Just pick up your phone. Call 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Call my buddy Bill at I Buy Houses. Guaranteed to close in 5 days. If you need to sell your house fast, call Bill at 901-406-1101. That's Bill at I Buy Houses.
Say there was a place, the perfect place for everything you need for tailgates and patios, grills and chairs, charcoal and coolers, everything to make a great game or a great day. That perfect place wouldn't be a warehouse. It's East Memphis Ace Hardware. Locally owned and operated at Quince and White Station, East Memphis Ace Hardware is where you'll find Benjamin Moore paints, local plants from local growers, and Black & Decker tools. Around the block, what you need in stock with people who know their tailgates. Welcome to East Memphis Ace Hardware, the home convenience store.
Welcome to Triumph Auto Sales, where you'll have a great car buying experience. Triumph Auto Sales is your #1 source of quality pre-owned vehicles ranging from lease returns to new car trades, all at huge savings. Plus, Triumph has a full array of financing options to meet your needs. Find your next car online at TriumphAutoSales.com or stop in today at 4875 Elmore Road. Triumph Auto Sales will help you get the vehicle you want at the price you need and the service you deserve. For a great car and a great experience from a local and family-owned business, visit Triumph Auto Sales.
You already know that Sunrise on Jefferson serves up the freshest and fastest breakfast or lunch in the city with only the highest quality ingredients. But there's so much more to Sunrise. This is a place you can rush through to get something to eat. But it's also a place where, if you have the time, you can enjoy it leisurely in a great atmosphere. Sunrise is full of beautiful folk art and, more importantly, features one of the most impressive Bloody Mary bars you're ever going to see. If you have the time, there's nothing like taking it at Sunrise.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56. This hour is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Gabe Kuhn.
Back rolling on Sports Time on Sports 56 with Gabe and Stats. You can always hit us up at the AutoZone listener line. Text us 901-360-8255. Get in the zone, AutoZone. You can also watch us live and message us on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch. And you can find us at sports56whbq.com, where you can find our featured audio, all of our podcasts, every single hour from every single show will be there for you to see. I saw this story yesterday from Jason Munz, who obviously joins us every Friday, Tiger beat reporter for the Commercial Appeal. He said they are expecting one injured player to be back. The injured players as of right now, Landers Nolley, Jalen Duren, DeAndre Williams, and Jaden Hardaway. Looks like Landers Nolley, from all accounts, from what I'm hearing, is going to be able to return on Thursday versus Cincinnati, and that should give a huge boost to the Tigers heading down the stretch in conference play.
Yeah, it will for the Tigers against Cincinnati. They need everything because they won by 87-80 over Cincinnati, but that was a tough game. That Cincinnati coach is proving to be a good hire, and yep. I think to really have it. And for Memphis, unless they're going to go all in on the tournament, they have to win out because right there at 3-4 in the AAC in the net, Cincinnati at 68. Memphis at 70. It's an elimination game.
Yeah, well, and here's the other thing. I will always come back to this. Winning the AAC tournament is what you need to do. That's what you need.
That's your path.
I mean, as far as trying to win out the rest of the season, to put yourself on the bubble as a 9 or 10 seed, I just think that would be harder in the grand scheme of things. So
maybe getting these guys back from injury is not that important. Maybe get them at the right time.
Here's the problem is you don't want to back yourself into an awful seed heading into the AAC tournament because you don't want to draw Houston second round. You don't want to you want to try to at least will yourself to a championship game before losing. You want to give the hope.
And that's what it looks like. If the Tigers are the 4 or 5 seed, well, that obviously is the toughest first game they could play because that's against the better seeds. And that's in the winner of that on Friday, if you're the 4 or the 5, you're going to get Houston.
Mm-hmm. And I'm curious about some of these other injuries, Jalen Duren and DeAndre Williams in particular. DeAndre Williams, this back injury, Brett, I hate to say it. It seems like something that's going to be lingering for the rest of the season. I don't know if there's been any timetable on any return for DeAndre.
It's
I think this is really
injury
wearing
in sports,
on.
isn't it?
Yeah, anything with the back, the neck,
anything
that's close to a spinal cord's tough. And he's older now. We're talking about a 25-year-old guy. I am scared that this could be a possible season-ending injury. I'm not saying it is, but by all accounts, it's something that's really, really tough.
You kind of know with the knee. I mean, is it tear? Is it strain? Is it? You don't with the back.
No, you do not. You do not. Jalen Duren still dealing with his hand injury. I know when we talked to Jason Munz last week, he said he'd be very, very surprised if he didn't make it back out for the Cincy game. I haven't heard word one about him, but it's looking like Landers Nolley likely going to be back on Thursday. Now, within these odds that I got sent this morning by you, Brett, something that really was weird to me.
Brian, have you seen these?
Yeah, Brian. This is
I have not. Again, if someone could send this to me, I'd love that.
These are from betonline.ag. And the Tigers, of course, started the year as one of the favorites to win the national championship. They were 50-1 at one point, 9-1. They climbed all the way to 9-1 at some points. But I figured they'd be way farther down the list than 28th. They are the 28th highest as far as odds, as far as best odds.
What's Vegas know we don't know? Is everybody going to get well and click?
They're at 80-1 right now, and they're amongst a group that has Miami, Michigan, and Xavier, all at 80-1. This was
Xavier's
surprising.
a pretty good team.
Xavier's good.
And in the text I sent you back, I said, Brett, at this point, it seems more like 10,000-1 would be a realistic odd to set. I
couldn't believe it scrolling down, seeing that. I said, well, got to send this to you. Brian, I meant to send it to you, and I'm just such a poor emailer. I'm sorry.
You're all good.
I'll forward it to him.
I like my blind reaction.
I'll forward it to him. But 28.
Because we're getting close to blind resume time of the year. Oh, I love it.
Oh, yeah.
Drew Barrett hated doing those blind resumes.
What's wrong with blind resumes?
Yeah,
That's the best way to do it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's the best way to do it. You take the name out of there so we don't have any type of bias going one way or the other.
You mentioned the Tiger seed, that they could do such damage to it. If you're 6th or worse, you play first day. You play that Thursday. If you're 5th or better, you have a bye until Friday. But like I said, if you're 5th, that means you play the 4. If you're 4, you play the 5. And, that's going to be a tough game. And then you look up and you get Houston on Friday afternoon.
And we're talking about 3 games in 3 days, correct, basically? And that's the
if you buy into Friday. Mm-hmm.
They're going to need to get healthy. I think if they're going to make any type of run in the AAC tournament, DeAndre Williams is going to have to be part of that team.
Mm-hmm.
And at this point, I'm just very curious. And Brian, you work there with Go Tigers 247. What have you been hearing about DeAndre Williams and what's going on with his back and everything else?
Well, I'll just put this out there. First off, I don't have any inside information about that specific injury. I do know Landers will be back on Wednesday, or Thursday, excuse me. But I think if you just watch Penny and you hear how he talks about these guys, I think that's very telling, because he'll talk about Landers and we're really hoping to get Landers back. We're really yada yada yada. Jalen's the same thing. I mean, we talked to Willow last week, who was saying they took him on that trip because they thought he was going to play in that game over the weekend. But whenever they bring up DeAndre, it's a little different. It's it's more, I don't know about him. We'll have to, we're gonna have to talk to the trainers about that. It always just seems different. So I don't know. I think if he comes back, it will be way closer to conference tournament time, if that.
Yeah, but they're going to need him. They're going to need him, because we saw what he did in NIT play. How much he meant to that team down the stretch of last season once he got eligible. There was almost a dead on 100% correlation between winning and DeAndre Williams being on the floor.
Now, one thing I think to the Tigers' advantage, if Tulane hangs on to that 3 seed and the Tigers even fell all the way to the 6th seed, and that could happen.
Yep.
That's where they are right now, isn't it?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah, right there, 6-7.
So they'd play the 11 first day. That's the last place. And then they would play the 3. I'm going to say it. Bulletin board for the Green Wave. Worst 3 seed in any conference in America right now is Tulane.
They've definitely overperformed.
They have. Coming off a win against Wichita State. I mean, but they have played well. They really have. I think it's more. I mean, yes, they're not great. I'm not going to say they're good, Brett. That's not where I'm going with this. But Jalen Cook and what's the other Jalen's name? I always forget.
The Jalen's.
Jalen Forbes. Jalen Cook and Jalen Forbes. The 2 Jalen's, the Fighting Jalen's, they have been lighting it up in conference play. And they're 2 older guys, so it sort of makes sense.
Cook was a huge addition for them.
I'm not quite there yet on saying that Ron Hunter is turning the corner with Tulane, though. But they have looked good.
In November.
6-3 in conference and wins over some decent opponents.
In November, they lost to Southern University by 3. Now, Southern's probably going to win the SWAC. They lost to Toledo by 1. They lost to Valpo. Bryce Drew's not walking through that door. They lost to Charleston.
Right? Twice.
Lost to Charleston twice.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
And then their season was shut down, and he went camp Ron Hunter, and they were ready coming out of that in their first game against Memphis.
Beat Memphis, beat Cincinnati going away, beat Wes Miller team going away, and Wichita State they beat on the road and at home.
See his little dance after that win?
Who's?
Ron Hunter.
No, I didn't.
He was at like the scores table. He just did like a little
Cringe?
shimmy.
A little cringe?
It was a little cringe, and he was slapping fives with all the stat guys. It was he was pumped up.
And then as far as the AAC is concerned, I think SMU is finally sort of showing their the 5-game win streak now. And granted, not against much, but they've handled it relatively well. They've won some road games, whether they're against Memphis, Tulane,
SMU
or South
can get
Florida.
It at large.
But it looks like SMU's on their way to an at-large. That's where I was going with this. 16-4.
56th in the net. They got to do a little work. I think they got to get into the low 40s, but they have the opportunity. They can.
And is there any inkling, and I'm going to ask both of you guys this, there's no inkling that we could extend past two bids in the AAC, correct? 3 bids, would a Cincinnati be too much to ask from a committee putting them in as an at-large?
What if I'm asking a question, if Memphis won the tournament and it be Memphis, SMU, Houston?
I can see that.
It's certainly a possibility. But Cincinnati's, I mean, you look at what they've done so far this year. That's not a terrible resume they're putting together.
The Illinois win is really
is massive, and they're 4th in the American right now at 15-6. Wes Miller he's sort of a name now. They give him credit. They give him
people recognizing
a lot of recognition for turning them around pretty quickly. So I wonder if it could extend out. But SMU and Houston clearly at the top in the class of the AAC.
Murray State 27th today. UAB and Andy Kennedy at 47. St. Louis U. I still say that was a good win for the Tigers. 62nd.
How long until Andy Kennedy parlays that into a new job?
He's home. Around. That's where he played after transferring to UAB from Louisville.
I get that.
From the University of Louisville. Grew up in Louisville, Mississippi, and went to he went to NC State. I'm sorry, he didn't go to U of L. He went to NC State and then to UAB for Coach Bartow.
Do we just lose Brett? I think we lost Brett.
I do think we just lost Brett. Mid-sentence. That's tough.
No, but Andy Kennedy, I mean, what he's done with UAB, I would imagine when we get to sort of Power 5 openings, some of these openings that could pop up, he's got to be starting to get mentioned again. Because he has been a breath of fresh air at UAB.
Yeah, I mean, he's really turned that program around. I mean, you look at teams in that conference, such as, La Tech, who came in after that NIT run last year and was a team that a lot of people thought would win the CUSA. I mean, they have a win over them. I mean, he's done a really good job there.
And then you sort of think, but here's with Ole Miss and what he did at Ole Miss, there was some decent moments, not a whole lot of fantastic moments by any stretch of the imagination. Had some 20-win seasons, had them ranked pretty high some years. Got to the NCAA tournament 2 different times, won the conference tournament. But I wonder if other schools in that same position as Ole Miss look at Andy Kennedy and say, well, there seems to be a ceiling for Andy Kennedy. Is that all he can accomplish, what he did at Ole Miss? But the way I see that is he learned a whole lot through that. And I'm not sure – I don't know his age at this moment. He's not an overly old guy.
No, he's not old at all.
He's not an overly old guy. It seems like he could be one of those names that come up here in the next few years for some substantial open jobs. But we shall see. Now, let's go ahead and get to a break. Hopefully we get Brett back on the other side. And when we come back, we'll get to Taco Bell Crunch Time right here on Sports Time with Gabe and Stats.
Be sure to follow us at Sports56 WHBQ on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube to watch live video of our shows. Stay up to date with station events and have chances to win prizes from Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Is your bank standing in the way of you and your sportsbook? Try Action 24/7. We're cutting out the middleman. Deposit or withdrawal in cash. No more bank delays or failures. Action 24/7 has more than 100 partners in Tennessee for cash deposits and withdrawals. Visit action247.com for a location. Cash deposits and withdrawals from your Tennessee sportsbook. Action247.com. You got action.
Must be 21 or older and in Tennessee. For problem gambling support, call 800-889-9789.
Hewlett & Dunn Boot and Clothing Company, we have it all. From handmade Amish leather belts, fine and casual clothing, boots, casual boots, work boots, fancy boots, and even safety-toed boots. Lots of cowboy hats to choose from, even Nebo lights, Orco hard coolers, good-looking duck head dress shirts, duck head caps, shorts, and pants. Tons of jeans from Ariat, Wrangler, Devil Dog, and Kimes Ranch jeans. At Hewlett & Dunn, we have a great selection of Old South t-shirts and caps. Fine clothing from dress to casual to Sunday best. Enjoy choosing from UFO's orthopedic-approved shoes. Hewlett & Dunn Boot and Clothing Company. Boots of every size, every color, every skin. Great quality Western, work, and safety toe boots. Hewlett & Dunn Boots and Clothing Company. 111 North Center Street, Collierville. Hewlett & Dunn. Hewlett & Dunn, serving you and your family since 1961.
Belly Acres' motto is City-Fied Farm Fresh. The goal is simple: provide a fun, unique farm-to-table experience for the whole family. Two great locations, Regalia at 6130 Poplar and in Overton Square at 2102 Trimble Place. Overton Square hours Sunday through Thursday 11A to 9P, Friday and Saturday 11A to 10P. Regalia Sunday through Thursday 10:30 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Friday and Saturday 10:30 a.m. to 11 p.m. Signature burgers are made from 100% grass-fed beef. Sandwiches, salads, and the best milkshakes anywhere. The burgers, so good, like the Daria or the Double Daria, and the melt in your mouth. And you have to try the Voodoo Moo Moo. It is the quality brand the Belly Acres team has developed using grass-fed beef with creative homemade toppings in a fun farm setting right here in the city. The goal at Belly Acres, to become even more sustainable as they grow. In Overton Square and in Regalia, the very best quality available in Memphis, burger shakes and smiles at Belly Acres.
If you want to make money in sales, Flynn Broadcasting wants you. If you can sell, Flynn Broadcasting has a great career waiting for you. If you can sell, we have great benefits, salary, commission, sales leads, and a great place to work. If you can sell, let us know today. Send your resume to jobs@flynn.com. Can everyone sell? No. But if you can, Flynn Broadcasting wants you. Apply today at jobs@flynn.com. Start your great career today at jobs@flynn.com. Flynn Broadcasting wants you.
It's a new year. That means it's time for a floor model sale at Family Leisure. You can help Family Leisure make room for all the new 2022 products that are coming in. All floor models are priced to move right now. If it's on the floor, it's on sale. But you better hurry to get these special savings, because once these floor models are gone, folks, they're gone. We're talking theater seating, massage chairs, arcades, foosball and hockey tables, all on sale. Shuffleboard tables, pool tables, they're on sale too. Plus, there's so much more on sale, and you can get New Year's deals on spas and swimming pools as well. Family Leisure needs the room for new inventory. So what's here has got to go. You can help them. The floor model sale is happening now at Family Leisure, Whitten Road at I-40, where family and fun come together. Happy New Year from our good friends at Family Leisure. I know the sweetest thing in Memphis, and I know it's been around for 120 years. You know, I'm talking about Dinstall's, and it's time to stock up heavy on Cashew Crunch, Heavenly Crunch, Turtlettes, all of your favorite Dinstall's treats to watch the playoff games and to watch all the basketball. It's so easy to get. The sweetest thing in Memphis, all you have to do is head to Laurelwood or head to Germantown and Poplar right across from the hospital, or go where they make the candies. That's on Pleasant View. There's nothing that says Memphis better than Cashew Crunch with that little tinge of coconut, or the Turtlettes. Let's face it, there's nothing better than Dinstall's chocolate. That's the mainstay of all candies, isn't it? Milk chocolate, although their dark chocolate is pretty darn good. And if you get the peppermint with the dark chocolate and put it in the freezer, you're going to love it. So many ways to love Dinstall's. 115 years of making Memphis oh so sweet.
At Jason's Deli, when you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises, just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and quick quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it, because you're not just taking a bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special diets with vegan and gluten-free options available. Convenience and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com, so whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby at Jason's Deli with locations at Ridgeway in the Park Place Center, Poplar and Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and on Goodman Road in Olive Branch. Jason's Deli. It's wholesome food and no surprises.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56. This hour is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Gabe Kuhn.
I fantasize about this back in Chicago. Mercy, mercy, need that mercy alive.
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy!
This is for all the biggest crunch time.
You are looking live. In your life have you seen anything like that? Goodbye! Hello, Haskins.
It's obviously crunch time.
Hammer, nail, coffin. This baby is over.
The double steak grilled cheese burrito, so good. Double the steak with nacho cheese sauce, seasoned rice, red strips, sour cream, and the 3-cheese blend wrapped inside a warm flour tortilla, with even more 3-cheese blend grilled on the top. The double steak grilled cheese burrito, it hits the spot now at Taco Bell. And at Taco Bell, when they say they are feeding people's lives with unexpected good, they mean it. Bowl food you can't get anywhere else.
Brett, what I learned today is that HBCUs are just, they're thriving in a way we haven't seen in a long time. We know about what's going on at Jackson State. With Coach Prime, with Deion Sanders. But Grambling State, who Hugh Jackson is actually the head coach, former Browns coach, not a good Browns coach, but former Browns coach. Grambling State is set to announce a name, image, and likeness deal for all of its scholarship student athletes, where every Grambling athlete receives annual income for their NIL. The income amount is sort of unclear at this moment, but they have a commitment from 2 companies, one called Urban Edge Network and one called Athlete. So they are headed in the right direction. And honestly, Eddie George has to get at Tennessee State, has to jump on board. He's got to get going, or he's going to lose out on some of the recruits that these guys are going to get.
And you know he has great connections. I learned that Texas at Texas Tech tonight could get nasty. It already has.
They're already there.
The Texas team bus angrily met by Texas Tech fans. Chris Beard, he took the right job though to win it all. He can win it all at Texas. He didn't. He got to the Final Four, but you can't win it all at Texas Tech. But those fans are hostile and ready for mighty UT.
You gotta love the students showing up in full force at 4:30 p.m.
Well, I was actually reading a story on The Athletic. They were camped out at halftime of the game this weekend.
It starts
They
at 8.
are excited not excited. They're furious for this game. If Chris Beard makes out alive, will be
had to have a police escort to shoot around this morning.
Did they really? Game of the year tonight. I'm calling it.
I'm excited to see that, but there's also some there's some good matchups.
Really good games tonight.
We'll talk about that in just a second. What I could have done without is Washington football team, for those that don't know, is going to release their new name tomorrow.
Oh, tomorrow's the day.
Tomorrow's the day. February 2nd is the day. 2/2/22. They're releasing it. But I'm afraid that Joe Theismann has already basically told us what it's going to be. He was on CBS Sports Radio, and he admitted that he likes the name Commanders and that he believes that people will embrace it going forward. And the CBS Sports Radio people had to tell him, I don't know if they've actually admitted that it's Commanders yet. We will see tomorrow, but it looks like Commanders is going to be the new name for the Washington football team. May have lost Brett again.
Looks like we lost Brett again. So I'll just say what I could have done without today is the movie that I sat through an hour and 30 minutes.
I could have done without losing Brett
in class. I could have also done that. That's also a great one.
Wait, what movie are you talking about?
Home Team with Kevin James.
Oh, good Lord.
Not a good
I don't know
I was
why
just put
you
on the
sat yourself.
I was put on the spot. I had to have something that I
You don't
could have done without.
you don't have to sit yourself through that. So you're saying when I get home and I flip on Netflix and I turn on my TV after all the games tonight, of course.
Mm-hmm.
After I watch Texas Tech, you're saying don't click on Home Team.
I'd say there's probably some other options out there that you'll gain more enjoyment
I'd say the
from.
worst one though, the Kurt Warner one looks just horrible.
I haven't seen that. I do want to see that.
Look, I'm a St. Louis Rams guy.
Right.
I'm a Kurt Warner lover.
That's history
yes,
right there to you.
But have you seen some of those previews for it?
It
looks
cheaply made.
Yeah, it looks real, backdoor. Look like they didn't use much money. Not a lot of money was spent. What we're looking forward to tonight, a lot in college basketball. We mentioned Texas at Texas Tech. That'll be on ESPN too. It should be on ESPN, at 8. But it is Alabama-Auburn. Alabama at Auburn on ESPN at 8 at the same time. Kansas-Iowa State tonight. Kansas will be without O'Shai, so that should be an interesting one. If they can get a win over Iowa State in Iowa State, that could boost them pretty substantially. And Ole Miss visiting LSU.
That'll be a tough game for them tonight.
Yeah, 8 p.m. start. So we will have that game. 7:30 will be
pregame.
The pregame. 8 o'clock will be the tip. But that's all that we have for today. Thanks for joining us as always joining the AutoZone listener line. We appreciate you getting your thoughts in, and we love to see that every single day. Thanks to Clayton Collier. Thanks to Brent Beard, Rob Fisher, and Bo Marchand for their contributions to the show. For Brett, for Brian, I'm Gabe. Enjoy your night. We'll holler at you tomorrow at 3.